If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed, and y'all shall eat them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener, yes, dear listener, yes, dear listener.
Well, that's an interesting set.
You guys believe in Santa?
Oh no, the guitar.
The guitar.
Look.
We gotta find... We gotta get one of those things
Little
hanging
stand
up on the wall.
That's a great idea. Okay.
All right, dear listener, the moment has arrived.
It has. We've got something very interesting tonight for you guys. So you guys know DJ Franco, and DJ Franco has decided that he is going to. Okay, so a couple years ago, villagers started gifting each other shirts. Remember that? Like, everybody started buying each other shirts.
Yeah.
Well, Franco went like way above and beyond this, and he actually bought a stream for the Alliance leaders. So we have a list of songs for them by Franco, by the village. But thanks and shout out to DJ Franco. Let's see what this, here's the intro to our stream. Welcome to this very special stream dedicated to our Alliance leaders of the village of Vin and Sori. I would like to give a special shout out to our Alliance leaders who take time off their time to help villagers. Shout out to our Chero, Kelendros, Misery Biz, Negative Vibes, and Neil. Enjoy these solid picks from them. Much love to our villagers. Director Franco. From the leaders, thank you, Mike, and we hope everyone enjoys our selections.
There you are.
All right, so first song. First song on our list is Crippling Alcoholism is the name of the band. And what do you say, Ottessa?
That's so funny. Ottessa.
Ottessa. I knew it after I said Ottessa. I said it must be Ottessa.
We actually do need a description and a timestamp.
Yes, I will take that. Give that to me, sir.
Let's go with 7 minutes. Just do 7 minutes.
Okay. Neil mentioned Crippling Alcoholism band on the Alliance Album of the Year 2024 stream, and Vin wondered if that is an actual band. Yes, it is.
Yeah. What the hell?
Their album was my Album of the Year pick for ROA's bracket, and it lost to Duel on the final round. Crippling Alcoholism is a goth noise band from Boston. With Love from a Padded Room is their sophomore album. I found them while scrolling new releases on Bandcamp. The ugly album cover and the odd band name got me curious.
Yeah, I think the album, you're going to see the album cover, I think.
Good.
Yeah.
And I gave it a shot. After listening, the album there was something that got me intrigued. Oh my gosh, okay. After listening, the album there was something that got me intrigued. I had to listen to the album repeatedly, and I couldn't put my finger on what it was that got me hooked into it. Maybe it was the uniqueness, or maybe it was the different stories that the songs tell. The band has said that the album is about a fictional prison, and each song captures a different prisoner being held in solitary confinement.
My God.
And the album is supposed to feel as though you're walking down the halls and peering into each cell track by track. I chose the song Ottessa to represent the album.
In our community. What the hell is that?
Bring back party metal.
Yeah, you guys are. Something's wrong with all of you.
And yet here we are. Something's wrong with us as well.
Solitary. Let's go. Solitary confinement.
Let's check it out.
What is it? Alcoholism?
Well, the name of the band is Crippling
Alcoholism.
Ottessa is the name of this song.
And this is. This band hails from, what do you call
Boston.
it? Boston. Boston. The Boston, like the Boston Tea Party, dear listener. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Crippling Alcoholism, everybody. Crippling Alcoholism. Ottessa is the name of the song. Let's check it out.
Like a bitch in fishnets, owns all existence. She suicides by fire, although she never can die, although she never can die. She is violence, don't fight, and her will is pure greed, the blood of all things. She suicides by fire, although she never can die, although she never can die. We are this, evil mind.
Wow. Okay.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah. That, okay, for me, that is a piece of art. I friggin' loved that song. And I am literally, I have goosebumps right now. And I am sad and disappointed that we're not doing an album review right now.
Of this band.
Yeah.
Holy hell, man.
Yeah, I really, really, really like that song. And I wonder,
That was incredible.
if he changes vocal style as you look into each, like, does each song...
Is it one vocalist?
I don't know. I was just wondering if he changes vocal style each, like, cell that you look into. But this one was, like, it was painful. It was relatable. It was not relatable. It was...
These
there was
guys
a little
got
bit...
lyrics, man. They can write their ass off.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Misery
wanted it first because he was scared Sawyer would hate it.
No, Misery. I loved this song.
The tyranny of Sori's approval. You can't believe how many people have died under that banner.
No!
God almighty.
I approve of you. I approve.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And I approve of this song. I really, 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 really like this one. I wish that we seriously were listening to the entire album. I have a question though.
Yeah, this
lyrically
is
at the beginning.
Definitely going into my playlist.
I'm sure it is.
For sure.
I'm sure it is.
God.
The maybe dim down that light. That green screen is making my hair look green.
That's something that we could handle maybe in between songs or maybe in a text message. Or...
You don't approve of me?
I feel like we have other options.
Okay, that's so much better. Okay. Babe,
okay.
please help me at the beginning of this song. I'm assuming that he's talking about the same girl that he's talking about at the end.
Well,
but I'm wondering if... Go ahead.
He ended up in solitary confinement because all these people are in solitary confinement, which means...
I think that is so cruel. You would have to be really extreme.
I'm assuming he killed her. I think she was a prostitute, and she rejected him, and he killed her.
Oh.
I think that's what's going on.
Because he's so... and he assumes it's because he's so ugly?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you just, like, sort of think of different things that you've heard throughout your life, and it kind of stacks together to create some sort of narrative. And I remember this girl one time that was not as... I mean, she wasn't ugly, but she wasn't as beautiful as the other girls around her. And she was basically hoping that something would happen to her so that way she would be able to get, like, some sort of experience of physical touch. But she was, like, misunderstanding, like, what that would actually be and how...
like, some sort of assault would happen
or,
to her?
Yeah, or just, like, a situation that maybe she wouldn't want, but it might be the only way that it would happen. So I guess you could say, like, an assault, but at the same time, she kind of, like... It was just a weird situation that going into too much detail would make even more weird. But
some True Detective stuff happening in this song. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am the True Detective, bitch.
But it just, like, so I was, like, thinking about that and just thinking about, like sometimes when I'm scrolling through shorts and you see people that, like there's no real symmetry at all to their face or to their body, and then you, like, think, I wonder, like, how sometimes you'll see that person with somebody, and then sometimes you'll see that they're alone, and it, like, makes me really sad to see people in that situation. And then he's, like, communicating that in the song, like I guess everybody has pain in different ways, but, like, that's a pain that we don't understand. You know, to be so ugly that people wouldn't even... I mean, he's saying I was so ugly that not even a prostitute wanted to kiss me. And maybe there's an exaggeration there, but maybe not. I mean, we just got done watching True Detective, and you have, like, that character was pretty horrifying, you know?
Yeah, he was. And
you could see, even if somebody was in a situation where they were going to get paid, they might be not wanting to be in that situation with him. And I think that it's not just like the physical ugliness of people, but I think that the internal darkness and the internal, like, okay, nobody can see what's going on inside of us. Nobody can see what's going on inside of our thoughts or our heart. But as that stuff progresses throughout our lives, like, that's how, I mean, this guy obviously had a lot of darkness going on inside him. He killed somebody.
We think.
Right. If that's the story, he killed this prostitute because she didn't want to, you know what I mean? Which is crazy. But, like, maybe she could see that in him too. Like, you know, you'll hear those stories of, like, prostitutes getting, like, abused because the guy figures he bought the time so he can just do whatever he wants, which is insane. But I'm sure that they probably get pretty good at, like, looking at somebody and sort of judging the type of person that they are and how safe or not safe they are. But yeah, the guy's voice in this song was surprising.
Well,
I did not expect it.
This is from his perspective. I don't know if the reason that he's completely single or alone or as isolated as he is was because
He's ugly. Like, it's
ugly.
not as simple as that.
Because it's like,
That's why I talked
if
about the
you're
internal.
the kind of person that would murder someone,
Right. That's what I was saying, yeah.
that is the ugliness that
Yeah.
the girl is sensing, not
Exactly.
your physicality. Females are actually generally less shallow than males relative to looks.
Appearance, yeah.
And appearance. Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
so if you have a decent personality and you can make the girl laugh, laughing is a big thing. If you can make the girl laugh, you're in decent shape. Like, you could find, I've seen some not very attractive people with some pretty decent, like, girls outside of their pay grade, say it that way. So it's like, yeah, man, I'm not sure that the reason that you're alone is because you're literally ugly. It's like you killed somebody,
Right.
you
But
know?
that's why I brought up the that's not a spoiler, but, you know, the guy with the scars. When you
Yeah.
finally meet him, you're like, oh my gosh, like, he just has such a bad energy about him, like, in the show, True
100%.
Detective. So it's like, if
100%.
this guy was like that, like, you can see how somebody would avoid.
Yeah, and whether you think it's a selection pressure or you have a more spiritual understanding, women do have an intuition. And I think women's intuition is real. And I think vibes are real. And I think that, you know, if you're a horrible person, girls can pick up the vibe a lot of the times. Like, there have been other times, like, I've seen where, unfortunately, the girls weren't able to pick up the vibe and they ended up dead. So it's like... Yeah, like, I don't think the girls are picking up that you're ugly per se. I think they were picking up that you were dangerous and a horrible person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is obviously written from his perspective because he's the protagonist in, in the story.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's a horrible, horrible person, this guy.
When-
if my theory on what he did is correct.
The beginning, he says, that cruel bitch in fishnets owns all existence. She suicides by fire, although she never can die. Oh no, she never can die. She is violence divine, and her will is pure greed. The blood of all things, she suicides by fire. What do you think? We are ideas in her mind, and then it says, you know, he goes on to saying, I'm shit, I'll always be shit. Like, what do you think he's talking about? You think that that's the girl? Like, all this is being credited to a prostitute that one night didn't want to be with him and he killed?
Well,
it just
he
seems like
says-
it's more divine than...
He said her will is pure greed.
Yeah. Oh. That's what he's looking at it instead of survival?
Yeah. You know, he calls her a cruel bitch in fishnets. Usually if a girl's walking around in fishnets, she's in a specific kind of context. It's not something that the 9-to-5ers wear. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Suicides by fire, I don't know. It looks to me like he killed her and set her on fire. And he's just retelling the story as she suicides by fire, is what it looks like to me.
Why do you think he said, although she never can die?
Because he's in solitary confinement, and that's all he could think about.
Oh.
Because he was yearning for intimacy, and that was the last intimate moment with a woman he ever had.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
And
gosh.
he made sure it was the last intimate moment with anybody that she's ever had.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That was pretty crazy too when he says street rat baptized in West Philly spit. That's so, man.
I'll always be shit. Street rap baptized in West Philly spit. A creature of sin. A whore wouldn't kiss, even if she was sick and the cure was on my lips. See what I'm saying?
I know, yeah. It's really good writing.
So, like, Shorty wouldn't kiss him.
Yeah.
It's kind of odd. I think, what's his name? Dwayne said that prostitutes don't kiss.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. I heard that they don't do
What?
that. They save that for, that's something that they don't do. I think it's probably like a line, like they don't want to give everything away, because what would you have that's like, okay, this is what I do for work, but this is something that's special. I'll kiss on the mouth type of situation.
I see. Yeah. And I have no judgments for women in that industry, but I was listening to this feminist and she was talking. My friend, R.I.P. to her, but she doesn't like the term sex work. When I was in the debate, I was using the term sex work
worker,
because I
yeah.
thought it was something that they came up with to kind of self-identify. But she's like, that's a terminology that's trying to legitimize an illegitimate occupation. So she's like, I'm not going to use that as a radical feminist. And I'm like,
yeah.
The idea that you could just do this job and it's a job just like anything else is ridiculous. It's like if you make sandwiches at Burger King.
Yeah.
It's not like people say, well, there's this one sandwich I won't make because I'm saving that for my husband.
Yeah.
Or my significant other. Like, this is obviously a soul-destroying occupation.
Yeah.
And it's so soul-destroying that they're trying to hold on to something.
Yeah.
That, you know what I'm saying? So, to me, it's like, it's interesting because if I'm right and this guy killed this woman, like, he's taken no accountability whatsoever for the way that he treated her and his even, he's like, yeah, I got a record. What about him?
Yeah.
Warrants for my neck. I'll fucking drown in them.
Yeah,
you might think some words will keep you safe. See?
Yeah.
But then men with guns will just blow your ass away. Yeah, I got my problems with the law. What about him? Water turning red in country showers. You might leave this bleak facility, but then prison bars stay with you after you're freed, because that's what trauma does. He outlives his victims, drinking their delicious blood. See,
Yeah.
He's
so
personifying trauma.
Yeah.
And then,
as
in my opinion,
cells.
using his trauma is the excuse for why he's such a dick. Oh, that's what trauma does. I want to be touched like someone who's loved. Some intimacy would have meant the world to me. Like, it's always... I just can't stand these people.
I see.
They always feel sorry for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always like...
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't stand it. But, like,
right.
But at the same time, I think everybody can relate to wanting to have some intimacy, wanting to have somebody, object of lust, like somebody like deeply desire you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that is a almost, it's a quasi, like there are people who are like asexual. Mm-hmm. Like that's an orientation or whatever, or an identification, whatever we're calling it these days. Like, shout out to those people. But for the most part, most of us are not asexual. And so want to be desired, and not only desired. It's interesting. He said object of lust because obviously she was an object of his lust.
That's what I was thinking too.
But he, and he wants her so much he has to pay for her. But he would want to be desired that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, I could separate the fact that I think that this guy's a horrible, terrible murderer, exploiter, misogynist, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I can also look at the universality of, but there's a lot of people, the vast majority of people are not murderers who are going to do that. I mean, the vast majority of people won't even go into the underground to elicit a prostitute. So they're just in their room feeling sad by themselves. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or they do their 9 to 5 and they're like, we just got done watching a movie. And it was like one of those not psycho, but psychological movies where you really had to sit there and parse through what was going on. And we came to the conclusion that one of the characters in the show was the only real character. Everything else, all the other characters were just in his head. But he was working out his pains, his fears, his dreams, one of which was a woman. Like having a woman, so much so that initially she gets presented as a protagonist when she's really not. But this guy is so lonely that when he comes up with a fantasy world or whatever in his head, he starts off with being with a woman. And so, like, he's got dreams of being a quantum physicist, he's got dreams of being an artist and all the rest of it, but when he starts fantasizing, he doesn't put himself in a lab, he doesn't put himself on a stage, he doesn't put himself in an art gallery, he puts himself in a car with a girl. And so it's like, that's one of the things that, obviously, this is what happens when it picklefies and it turns into something horrible.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it ended in that guy basically taking his life at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do you address that kind of soul-crushing loneliness in a person? You know what I'm saying? And like, do people hit a certain point? Because, like, as I said, like, I don't believe that I'm conventionally attractive, but I don't need to be, because I can be funny, I can create stimulating conversations, I can chameleonize wherever I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe that I've got other requisite talents in order to, you know, get a mate or whatever. But like, what if you hit a certain age and you're thoroughly convinced, like, you've done the dating apps, you've done whatever,
Yeah.
and you're thoroughly convinced that you're
Yeah.
gonna be alone? How do you react to that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't really. You're right. Like, that kind of pain,
We
I don't
don't
think
know, yeah.
we know. You know what I'm saying?
Or the fear that might go along with it, like, I think, like, there's some people that want to be alone. I don't know if that's because of, I don't think that we're meant to be alone. I don't think it's good for us to be alone. God didn't think it was good for us to be alone.
And when you say alone, you mean romantically alone?
No, I don't think it's good
Well,
for
when you
people to
say
be alone.
God
like,
doesn't. When
yeah,
you say
well, in God, with
that's
God,
conventional.
he's talking about, yeah, like romantic love. Like, yeah,
loneliness, yeah.
it's not good that a man is alone, doesn't have a wife or whatever. But I don't think that that's. I think that it's not good for people to be alone, like no friends, no nothing. You know what I mean? Like, you're just alone. But I think that
Yeah.
circumstances and fears and anxieties and different things kind of can nudge you more and more as life progresses, and then you find yourself in a place that maybe when you were 18 you never thought that you would be. But
And the horrible shit people say to each other. Like,
yeah,
the things that, like, we socialize kids to accept in school.
yeah,
Like, I'm not, you know, like,
I mean, the comment sections sometimes are so crazy. Like, I saw this video where somebody gets hurt, but I mean, they didn't get seriously injured. It was just they were not the right size for the thing that they were doing. And like, I was thinking, oh my gosh, that person probably got like sand burned on their legs the way that just happened. But the person had said something when it happened, and I wanted to know what the person said, so I clicked on the comment section. And then, because the person, she said something after it all happened. I want to know what she said. Anyway, the comment, I couldn't even find anybody that said what she was saying. Everybody was just mocking her and just saying so much about her weight. And it was just like, I could not believe how many comments and how horrible people were being to this woman. Like, I thought, wow, what is it like to be her? Like, I remember when we first started the channel, like, you basically always thought that even the rude comments were hilarious.
yeah.
But I went through a phase where it was like, it started really bothering me. And it was like mentally taxing on me. Like, I just stopped looking at the comment section because it was really bothering me. And I mean, some of the stuff people were saying wasn't even true. It's just people's, you know, people think they know they know something about what you're doing. But anyway, it was just it was a crazy thing. And I'm like, how do people treat each other like this? So yeah, like, you've got, you know.
Yeah, and there's loneliness, but then there is involuntary loneliness.
Yes.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
that's that's kind of what was going on here. And
Yeah.
you know, you have the whole incel thing and people mocking them and things like that. But these are the dudes that go to gyms and shoot women. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it turns into a lot of deep resentment. So
Well,
I don't really know how to solve that problem.
I think that there's like layers too, because like somebody that's attractive doesn't necessarily they're going to stay attractive even when they get old. Like you age. Like somebody with a personality like yours, like it's like evergreen. You're always going to be able to find people that enjoy spending time with you. Like you're not going to have to fear that people wouldn't. If you want conversation, you will get conversation. It's just you will have it. Not everybody's like that. Like having a pretty face or you know being tall and attractive or whatever people are, those are cool traits. But like ultimately, like if you have a fun personality and a person and like I think that's probably even that's also like a sort of scary thing, is that if you're like I'm X years old and I still haven't mastered to be able to communicate with other people and have that, then that's a sort of scary place to be, because you're only getting older and you're getting more and more separated from the world is changing. You know, like we have teenagers, so sometimes I'm like, what's going on with this? And I'll show them something and they explain it to me. And I'm like, what are people doing that don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Have you seen how people have attacked Bella Ramsey's looks? Who's in the Last of Us series? Yeah.
No, what
No,
are they doing?
I've heard it. I've heard that.
Why are they attacking her?
Well, I mean, she's not a conventionally attractive. It's a girl from The Last of Us.
Yeah, the little girl in there, right?
Yeah, the star. Like, she's not conventionally attractive. She's not ugly, but she's not conventionally attractive either.
And they're going after her for that?
Of course. And you know, we go on and on. Because she's a millionaire, she's a movie star, then we can berate her and do all types of shit. That's the other thing I hear people say. That's why people are so horrible to YouTube people. They see how many subs you have, they're like, oh, they make this kind of money, so we can
Be mean, yeah.
We could talk shit and
It's
say,
crazy.
you know. I see it a lot in the YouTube world, like, and I'll always check, and sometimes I'll check and I'll see somebody, they got like 14 subs. They got 28 videos up and 14 subs. And I remember I used to be like, oh, and God would be like, man, delete that comment right now. He would never let me be like, bro, you have 14 subs.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it means to people.
Yeah.
But I remember a dude that I liked his channel, and he had somebody unsub from him, and he just lost it.
Yep.
And he deleted his channel. But anyway, we're rambling on this
We
thing.
are.
9.9 for me. I love this song.
It was a 10 for me.
It's funny.
Why is it not a 10?
It's funny. I love the song. I love the song
so
to
do
pieces.
I wish we were listening to the full album. Babe, why didn't you get it?
Yeah,
Why didn't you get a 10?
I would like a full album on this one too. That'd be legit.
Yeah.
Huh?
How come it didn't get a 10?
Because I don't like the character in the song.
I knew it.
I don't like it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Those type of people.
Yeah, I know.
And it's it's because it's so universal. It doesn't matter where on in the world you go.
Mm-hmm.
There's always dudes like that, and it's always the girl's fault or the child's fault or the woman's fault or whatever.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you know, and it really doesn't matter. Like, you can't kill all of those people because there's literally millions of them out there. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you can go, oh yeah, you know, like, you know,
Gonna have to come up with a new plan.
so there's no, I don't know, man. I truly I don't know. Anyway, 9.9. I'm not giving you a 10, you evil bastard. That means that they wrote very well, though. They wrote so well that I'm like, I can't stand this person.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this one was a 10 for me, for sure. For sure.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
Let's go on to song number 2.
Who was that for? Mystery Biz?
Neil? I guess. Because Neil mentioned the crippling
Amelia Clark was fat and ugly. Who was that?
I don't know, babe. You know me. I know my kids. And none of them are fat and ugly. Okay. This one, can you read that, babe?
Sanguine Glacialis.
Resilience.
Sanguine Glacialis. So that's like a bloody glacier.
Ooh. Okay.
Iceberg. Nice.
All right, so it's a Canadian band whose music is rooted in melodic death metal,
Woo!
but they incorporate influences from a myriad of other genres,
Myriad?
including... Is it... Oh, you can't do both? It's not potato? Myriad of other genres. It's like Mirage is what I did with it. Including classical, jazz, and traditional world music.
It was the Daenerys Targaryen girl that they said that they... Well, I mean, she's mid, but you can't say she's fat enough. I mean, she was mid.
Huh?
The
Why would I say they fat and ugly?
The dragon lady on Game of Thrones, the little short one. You know,
Yeah,
Takaris.
I know. Why? But why would
She
anybody
was
say that?
mid, but you can't say she's ugly. What the hell?
What? That's ridiculous. People, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Okay, so,
Shout out to the dragon lady. I'm sorry it was me to you.
this song is from their most recent album in 2023, Maladaptive Daydreaming. Okay, let's check it out.
I'm with it. I'm here for it. All right, guys, here we go. Song numero dos. This is, what do you call it? Alliance Leader Appreciation Day.
Shout out to Director Mike.
Shout out to Director Mike. Doing his thing. Doing his thingy thing for the thingy thing and the thingy thing.
That is a lot. I've literally told Vin to stop saying thing, because he'll be like, get that thing. Put that thing over there. Thing.
You
It's
got
so
the
confusing.
40-minute mark?
Yep, I already did.
Good job.
Ready to go.
Sanguine, Glacialis, Resilience, let's do it.
Broken down.
Whose pick was this?
Does it?
Who's responsible for this?
It's better if I don't know, so I don't have to feel sad for them.
Archero?
You know what? It probably was.
This is Archero.
It had to have been.
Copy comment by Archero.
Well, yeah, but he might have just written it. Oh my god. Okay, first of all, if you've ever seen, what was that? That pig, Charlotte's Web. You remember when the rat was at the carnival? And he was sort of irritable smorgasbord, da, 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 da. It reminded me of that. It was too much. It was everywhere. It was like, and it had like this sort of nightmare sound to it. It literally, okay, so you know that, you know, at, when you go to Disney or wherever it is, they had It's a Small World. And I remember as a little kid going through it and liking it, but also thinking it was really creepy and thinking, what if I got trapped in here? Because it was like the little dolls kicking their legs and stuff. It's a Small World after all, they were singing. And sometimes like I have these really creepy dreams and I'll be like in that thing going through that world again. And I was literally thinking about those dreams I've had when this song was playing, and I'm like, this would be the soundtrack. I mean, this was not something. No.
Well, if the entire song was polka dotty and polka.
Polka?
Yeah, because it had the, you know, I don't know what you call that thing, but
yeah. What is that thing called?
It's like some poke. It's poke something.
Something again. Something.
How dare you? I
The
thought it was
something-
corn.
Wow, Dwayne.
Ban him
Accordion,
for Dwayne.
accordion.
Yeah, but it's like polka is the name of the song. Like it's a whole genre.
Yes, yeah.
You know, the
Yeah. What's happening? What's
the
happening?
way that you've got the guitar.
You're
It's
worried
so
about it.
frustrating.
Yeah, I know, but, you know, to be fair.
What is there to be fair about?
Well, I mean, it is my guitar. At least it's not yours.
What does it matter?
Well, I could see being, you know,
I'm the only one that plays it.
fair, but, you know,
Right.
I would have done something different. Anyway, let's go.
Yeah, but
We could have talked about that offline, or
yeah,
you
the
could have
genre.
texted me.
The genre is polka is the genre of that
Okay.
part. And if the entire thing was polka, I would have been fine. Right? Like it would have been cool. But it wasn't. The middle part was great. Into the solo was great. It's a song that I would have really enjoyed. Right? The metal is what I would have enjoyed. See what I'm saying?
I
But
don't know.
because they put it in with the polka. It's like, why? Why would you do that?
It's like a really awesome lasagna covered in so much mayonnaise you can't even see the lasagna.
I don't know why you would create such a picture, knowing full well how the Lord feels about lasagna.
We are a
and how the
reaction
Lord
channel.
feels about mayonnaise. But, like, I just don't understand why bands do this. I don't get it.
I don't either.
If you want to like screw around and make a funny song, like cool. But like I don't know. Maybe this was like music wise. Maybe this is what they wanted to do. You
Okay.
know, who are we to say? Sanguine Glacialis.
I am going to,
Who are we to say?
well, let's let the people speak.
What do you mean?
There.
What?
This came out 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
1 point. Yeah,
This is one of these unsigned hype bands.
exactly.
You know that they slide in under the radar because they're, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I know. Now we know.
And these guys know all the tricks.
You've been caught
These guys know all the tricks.
mid-review.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you know, hey, can you get my band reviewed? Oh yeah, we got it, no problem. Even the avant-garde, like Deathspell Omega is an avant-garde band, and I love them. I love what they do. Because I do think that it takes a lot of skill to do what Deathspell Omega does, actually.
Look, I know that there's lots of people that hate metal or hate, like whatever. So there are people that just do not like certain types of music. And there is nothing about this song that I like. There was one thing where I like tapped my head like 3 times, and that was it. Like,
You didn't like the solo?
I didn't like. This is why I gave you the lasagna analogy, is because if I was you, all I would have
Just
saw
took
was
too
mayonnaise.
long. It just took too long.
Took too long. No,
took too
it was
long.
there was
I'm
so
saying it
much
took too long
no,
to get there.
it was there was too many layers of bullshit before it got to the actual whatever you heard.
Whoa!
I did not like it at all.
Sometimes these bands hear the review.
Well, I didn't like it.
We don't want to hurt your heart, band, but
That's why I said some people just don't like metal. Like, I just don't like this style at all. You know.
they're from Quebec. Well, unexpected they're from Quebec. Well, I do think we should pay them the respect, though, of
Getting into the lyrics.
looking at the lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
because the lyrics were: we sing, we dance, we laugh, we cry, we live and die. Let's eat and drink and forget our past and this torture and our pain in this place and this world, in this world that chokes us always, through a veil of broken glass and an igniting cloak. The biting cold of our naked shelter shines, isolated from the heinous glares. Why all this hate? Well, it's because you put poke at the beginning of your... See, this song, this right here, though, is good lyrics, you know? Eat, drink, for tomorrow we die.
Yeah, that reminded
type
me of
shit.
like Ecclesiastes type situation. Yeah,
Yeah.
but the writing style is something like the writing style also was not very accessible to me. Through a veil of, I liked the sound,
Really?
but I didn't know what they're talking about. Through a veil of broken glass and an igniting cloak, the biting cold of our naked shelter shines. I don't know what we're talking about. Isolated from the
I'm
heinous
assuming
glares.
that the shelter is their body, and they're out in the cold because the body is sheltering their soul.
What's the igniting cloak?
Through
The
a veil of broken glass and an igniting cloak, the biting cold of our naked shelter shines, isolated from the heinous glare. Why all this?
Well,
hate?
actually, you know what? As you're reading it, it kind of sounds like when it says isolated from the heinous glares, it almost sounds like you know how, like, why is all this hate? Like the way that people are with each other, interestingly, because, you know, I've been very harsh with this review. Apologies. Maybe it's kind of like that. Like, you're isolated from the heinous glares, but the way to isolate yourself is through a veil of broken glass or an igniting cloak. There is no real way to isolate yourself from it because there's so much hate. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I get that. An uninterrupted crusade for the triumph of anguish, a masochistic mechanism to restrain salvation. My God. An uninterrupted crusade for the triumph of anguish. Oh, wow. That's a brilliant way to talk about somebody who's determined to be miserable or to make someone miserable.
Yeah.
You just scroll up for a little bit.
Yeah. Wait, you want to go
Yeah.
like this?
Hope is at our door. Just let it in. It screams in vain to keep you, a semblance of preservation and continual trepidation, a vehement craving for an unattainable myth. Hope is at our door. It screams in vain to keep you in this nightmare. Free your mind from this hell. A neglected narration of a burdensome culmination, the rehabilitation of a fragmented rationality. It just seems like a very more than creative way of being extremely pessimistic and nihilistic.
Yeah, well, when they said, we sing and laugh and cry, we live and die. Let's drink to forget our past. So 2 things. One was when it was saying, hope is at our door, just let it in. It screams in vain to keep you in this nightmare. That sort of sounded like there was some sort of hope, but it's beating in vain at the door because you're never, like you said, this is somebody who wants to stay in that situation, like wants to be loathsome. So hope is screaming at the door, but it's in vain because they're not going to open up the door. And then...
Well, it screams in vain to keep you in this nightmare.
Maybe it's, you know, that verse that says hope deferred makes the heart sick. Maybe it's hope is screaming and beating at the door, but it can never really come in, and that's what keeps you in the nightmare, because hope is always right on the verge, but it never culminates into anything.
Well, yeah, hope gets you to believe that something good is going to happen, and so because of that, you stay in the situation you're in. Whether, I was in a relationship for a long time where I was like, that's all I had was hope, 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 and that's what kept me in the nightmare. That was that relationship. So I mean, it does work. Like lyrically, it works. Like it's a. That's why I talked about the crusading triumph.
Yeah.
For misery or whatever, because it's like. And it's because it starts off with the polka song and whatever, like hey, and it's got that circus type feel to it. You're supposed to be happy, but then at the same time, you're not happy because these lyrics are pretty nihilistic.
Yeah, you're stuck on this psychotic merry-go-round.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a happy song.
No, it's not. The other thing too was the whole let's drink to forget our past. And that is such an interesting idea because it really doesn't truly work.
You sure?
Ultimately, I don't think it does. Do you? How you'd have to?
I think scientifically you could drug yourself to the point where you destroy enough neurons to where you would forget your past at some level.
Wait a minute. You mean in it like momentarily, or you mean
no? I think, you haven't heard of this? Or people who smoke weed for extended periods of time have terrible long-term memory.
Well, I've heard of people drinking to forget their pain, but that's what became
She said
the
past.
What do you mean she?
Whoever. We drink to forget our past. You could do that. I believe that could happen. People could drink to the point where they forget their past. For sure.
Right, but then you're gonna sober up, and then it's gonna come back, and you're gonna have to drink again.
What I'm saying is they could so fuck up their neurons that their long-term memory is gone. Is what I'm saying.
I mean, yeah, I do think that is something that can happen.
It happens a lot with alcoholics.
It does?
Yeah, they got terrible long-term memory. Terrible long-term memory. So, like, I'm sure you were going to say it's a bad solution or whatever. And I still think it's a bad solution. But, it does happen.
Yeah, well, when you're talking about an extreme case like that. But I'm thinking more of, like, you drink and then you forget it temporarily. And then it comes back almost, again, like hope. Like the description of hope.
This person's in he's at the end of a pretty desperate life. Just in general. So, I'm not saying it's a good, hell, my brother doesn't remember his past anymore because he's dead. He drank himself to death. So, I'm not telling y'all to go and do that. What I'm saying, it's kind of like it's a concession, but it's also a warning. Like, yeah, you might accomplish that goal, but you might accomplish it in a way that you didn't expect. You might end up face to face in a situation that you didn't expect. So there's also that. But I think everybody can feel in the air, man. Like, we're under some sort of spiritual darkness and oppression. And like the people that don't have the nomenclature for it or the words for it, they sense it too. Like everybody knows like what's going on right now is not normal. I think some of that can get summoned by social media, like we're blaming social media, and I think that that's also true. I think social media though has unlocked, because of the concentration of our sinful nature unchecked, I think it's unlocked. When you talk about the collective consciousness, Jung talked about it, where like there's this sort of like nous or noosphere up here, where like all of our thought processes, and then that is what generates the zeitgeist. There's that concept in almost secular. I'd say that Jung was sort of like an esoteric secular guy. So there's that aspect of it, and then there's like the Christian idea of if you let demons in, it talks about being renewed by the renewing of your mind, but if you open your mind up to demonic activity, the demons are going to show up. And it's like, okay, what about an entire culture who has opened themselves up to demonic activity, so much so that the zeitgeist is almost unified in saying, let's be the fucking worst version of ourselves that we can possibly be. What happens to a culture when that happens? I think we've opened up. I think the zeitgeist has triggered, because I do believe in some form of collective consciousness that I'm not particularly sure how to articulate, but I do believe the zeitgeist has triggered some sort of allowance for heightened demonic activity and oppression, all like to cover the entire country. I do believe that, and that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody senses it. It's like something is like uncommonly wrong with our times. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And like, so I'm looking at all this stuff, and there's all this like heavy despair, oppression, like tangible, and people are struggling, and they don't really have a system of recognizing that and combating that. And to me, a lot of that is going on right now, is what it looks like to me.
That's interesting. You know that Bible verse that says, like, don't forsake the gathering?
Yeah.
In other words, you're supposed to, as Christians, you're supposed to surround yourself with other Christians. Do you think that there's any of, like, if you take that idea about the zeitgeist type of situation, and you almost look at it as in, like, let's say you should be in water that's 80 degrees, and when you're in freezing weather, you freeze to death and you're boiling to death. But, like, being, like, when we're talking about the zeitgeist, if there is like this sort of evil influence that's all over, like maybe part of that is like get yourself in the temperature of water that is good for, like, don't forsake the gathering, be in that, so that way even though you're in the zeitgeist, the collective consciousness, there's still the collective consciousness of the group that you're in that has the same acknowledgement of God and love for God. And so you guys sort of like, you get that warm temperatured water that as it should be, and then, you know, you go out into where you're supposed to be or whatever. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'll have to think about that. You know, I don't want to diss the church, but I'm not sure the way that we gather is the way that the guy in Hebrews was describing, but I'm not sure. I don't know. What do you got?
Well, you know, I mean, I was gonna give it a 4, and then I thought I can't rate it higher than 3.5, and then I was gonna give it a 0 because I really didn't like the song, but then I decided to go with a 6 because I felt like I was a jerk at the beginning, and I do feel a little bit like the song itself. It was sort of like a moment of like, I didn't like the song at all, but it was all so weird to like dig into lyrics talking about, you know, why are we so hateful and cruel when like this
Why all this
person,
hate?
yeah, this person created, or this band created this song, and they like it, it's deeply meaningful to them. Then they put it out there for us, and I'm like, slice and dice you.
Somebody was like saying, like, when they hear Sori's review, they're gonna say, "Why all this hate?"
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna go with a 6.
Only the entire country, Vin, more like the entire world, is affected by these so-called social platforms, profiting off of hateful comments, among others. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, the social media stuff is easily identifiable. What I'm saying is there's also another level or dimension that all of us are interacting with that many of us are not familiar with.
Yeah.
That it's an untouchable, like something is wrong here type vibe.
Yeah.
That people can't, that goes beyond just the explanation of social media is what I was saying. But yeah, definitely the whole world for sure. Nah. It's going to get a 4.8 from me. The lyrics were great. See, the problem is, I love the lyrics.
I love it when your eyes do what they just did.
I love the lyrics, and I also loved the middle and the solo. And that's what makes me more angry about the polka stuff. I didn't understand. I don't understand how the polka stuff worked with the other stuff. Like, how? What in the lyrics or what in the essence of the song itself got us the polka stuff to where it made sense? Like, I don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? And, like, there have been other challenging arrangements. Like, Decibel Omega is a challenging arrangement. Like, it's very challenging, but I saw the genius in it, and I thought to myself, this is very difficult to create. See what I'm saying? I don't understand the polka stuff.
Yeah, it's yeah.
4.8 for me. Middle in this bitch. 4.8 for me.
All right, you guys. Song number 3 on its way.
In the Bhagavad Gita, this period of collective sinful nature is called the Kali Yuga. And it's the last in the cycle. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Kali Yuga. Shout out to Avi Govinda Das.
Yep,
What's up, baby?
Yep.
We were going through our books because we were getting stuff from the storage unit. And you're like, do you want to keep this book?
I knew
it was
you
the,
did.
It was the Bhagavad Gita. Hell,
I just wanted to see your face when I brought it in. I
Shout
thought
out to my
I
nigga
actually
Arjuna.
thought you were going to get more, like, exuberant when you saw it.
Shout out to Arjuna.
You have 2 copies.
Kill that man. Kill him, Arjuna. Remember we were talking to, what's his face, that atheist guy? And he said something about the Bhagavad, and I was like, yeah, Arjuna, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
You Christians are usually idiots.
Usually ignorant.
Yeah, you guys are usually ignorant. You don't know shit. Shout out to Aaron Ra, whatever his name is. Okay, guys, here we go. Archero, I love you very much, buddy. You know I love you. That's why we gave you this free song, baby, but there's no God but God, and Jesus is his son. Okay, what's the next song? Song number 3.
Mouth of the Architect.
Mouth of the Architect. Timestamp.
I actually like that.
107:30. Hate and Heartache. Hate and Heartache.
Okay. Hate and Heartache, yeah. All right, so first off, I'd like to thank Mr. Franco for giving me the opportunity to share this band and song with you.
Mikhail.
Mouth of the Architect are an American post-metal atmospheric sludge band from Ohio. They formed in 2003, right around the time this subgenre started to gain popularity in the underground metal scene. Personally, I hold this band in similar regard as bands like Cult of Luna and Isis. I've tried to get this song through on various alliance polls, but have been unsuccessful, so I'm going to use this opportunity to finally show you this band. This track is from their 2008 album entitled Quietly. It is their 3rd album. The main reason I selected this track is for the monologue at the beginning of the song. It's taken from a 1976 film, Network. I find that a few of the monologues delivered in the film feel relevant even in today's environment. I provided a link to the full monologue should you be interested in checking it out. Though whether it's safe to view on YouTube is something I don't know. Another good one to check out is called The World is a Corporation. If you were to search for it on YouTube alongside the film title, the film is considered a mix between drama and satire. While looking up the lyrics for the song, I saw discrepancies between the sources. So in the comment, I combined 2 sources together so that both the monologue is transcribed as well as the lyrics. Basically, Dark Lyrics had the monologue transcribed correctly, but not the song lyrics, while Genius didn't have the monologue, but the song lyrics are more accurate, to my ears at least. All right.
Who's that?
They did not sign it.
Whose song
Looks
is
like
this
Neil.
song?
Commented by Neil, so.
All right, here we go.
And you have the lyrics. I sent it all to
We
you.
were talking about the Bhagavad. Lean that way. Lean that way. Look! That, if you guys don't know, that's Krishna and Radharani. Huh? Are we just talking about the Bhagavad? Hare Krishnas! They had good cookies. I'm not a Clyde, she's not a bunny.
More like Krishna and Radharani.
Vincent ain't Mahatma Gandhi. 14 years old, caught a body, investigations, interrogation. No one sang like Pavarotti. That's how it was in the Manzana. We ain't have time for grandstanders. Boy, take off that bandana. You ain't never been no gangbanger. All right, guys, here we go.
Look out.
This is Neil's song. Neil's song. Let's
check
do
it out.
Let's do it. Where'd you go? Mouth of the Architect. Hate and Heartache. Let's go.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street. There's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, please leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to do it. I want you to get mad.
enjoyed the second half of that song very much.
What do you mean second half? Like once the song started? Like
Well, the
you
monologue.
didn't like the monologue?
Huh?
You didn't like the monologue?
No, I liked the monologue, but it wasn't music. Mm-hmm. It's interesting how we were just talking about the zeitgeist.
I know. I
Like,
thought that too. I was
We're
like,
all
whoa.
collectively sensing that something is wrong.
Yeah.
I did not. We obviously didn't see the lyrics beforehand to know that was on the way.
And
But this kind of is more confirmation to me that everybody feels like something is wrong.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like we were able. We have some of these synchronicities 3 or 4 times a week. I think.
Yeah, I'd say so.
You know, I think you and I are particularly spiritually in tuned individuals. I'm saying that as just an objective observation. But this one was pretty interesting. It was a pretty interesting moment of synchronicity for sure.
Yeah.
Please at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel belted radials, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Scroll up real quick. We know what year was this when this guy said this?
The monologue was like 1973 or something like that, right? Wasn't it?
1976.
Wait. 76. I was pretty close.
SubhanAllah. This dude is complaining about air quality and inflation in
I know.
1976.
I know.
The dollar buys and nickels work. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere that seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. What were they calling punks in 1976, though? Actual punk rockers, I think. That's probably a little bit too early for the punk rock era. You probably have like the last vestiges of the hippies in 1976, maybe. I don't know.
I'm not really good in the.
It was like 100 years ago or whatever. But like,
When he
yeah,
said
go ahead.
the TVs, while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. When he said that, I was like, yeah, it's true. There is something about, like you grow up hearing the news sort of in the background, because I remember like my family would go through different little stints where the news was getting played in the house.
Yeah.
You'd have cable once in a while or whatever. And it does seem like it's like normal that there are these bad things happening. You just don't want it to happen to your family, but it's like normal in the world. But then you get older and you realize that, like, wait a minute, like that was happening. Those people weren't particularly crazy. Like, those things happened to them. Like, you can't. There are some things that you can avoid, and there are some things that you can't. Like, it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that, like, it reminded me sort of the Islam stuff, where you had said that if somebody does some crime, whether it's, like they rape somebody, they don't put the person's name in the paper, and what did you say? They don't even say what the crime was. They just basically show the punishment of the person.
They don't report on it until they have the guy and he's judged guilty and they're about to execute him.
So then, when you hear about the crime, there's no like.
All your only association with the crime isn't the gossip factor,
Right.
Or the ooh-ah factor.
Yeah.
It's this guy did this thing and we killed him. Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
Yeah, man. People are hurting. People are hurting, and like, I wonder what this guy would have said. Like, part of me feels like some of this is like, if you have, at a practical level, resource tension, meaning you don't have the capital to get the basic resources that you need to function in your given society, right? Because I have to say it that way, because obviously an American, if you did a 1-for-1 with the capital that they have pretty much in a lot of other places in the world, they'd be completely fine. But you're in America. So if you don't have the capital to generate the resources that you need in your given culture, that in itself is such a high stressor that kind of angst is going to get ventilated You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, you know, we've talked about social media and we beat a dead horse, but it's like, you get somebody that's in a bad situation who, no disrespect, thought Donald Trump was going to save them from the bad economy. And like, okay, nobody's talking about eggs anymore. I don't know how much eggs cost.
Oh, no, they went down.
Right. But like,
They went down.
overall, people are not doing much better economically speaking. And so it's like, how do you deal with that kind of stress and that kind of pressure? We currently, it's odd that the instinct is not for us to come together and say, you're going through this, I'm going through this, we're all going through this together.
Yeah.
Let's you know, not even necessarily pool our resources, but let's come together and say, okay, well, maybe we don't like, maybe we can't afford eggs, but we can be with each other and whatever. You know, like, no, like, communities like this.
See,
what I'm saying?
385 instead of 7.
Communities like this, where it's like, hey, you know, we know that we're going to be able to hook up with each other and hang out, and we're going to listen to good music, and we're going to talk about stuff, and, you know, Dwayne's going to be naked, and, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's odd that the instinct is not to do that.
Yeah.
And it seems like the only fellowship a lot of these people have is not in celebrating anything, but in who you collectively hate.
Yeah.
So when people talk about tribalism,
Yeah.
like, tribalism is not a bad thing. Like, being in a tribe and having an identity is not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, biblically speaking, you had the 12 tribes of Israel.
Yeah.
Right? So tribalism in itself, and this is the same thing about nationalism and other isms, like, they're not bad in themselves. It's when they start coagulating together and the main identity is we're not them,
Yeah.
or we hate them,
Yeah.
that's when it becomes toxic. And it's very fascinating why all of us are pretty much in a similar circumstance. There are very few, it's just like YouTube. There are very few people who have 30,000 subscribers on this forum. And it's like, it's such a difficult grind that when you run into another YouTuber, it's almost immediately like some kinship, friendship shit going on. Like, we've had conversations with struggling YouTubers, people who are like, what the hell is going on? You know, that type of shit. And like, there's like a real sense of community. Like, I get it. I understand the grind. I understand, like, the, you know, the shit people don't see, whatever. But I wonder, like, outside of that, why that's not the...
It's interesting, like you've said before, basically, like, not like the difference between a good person and a bad person, but kind of, is like, what makes you joyful? What makes you happy? So it's, you know, are you happy when you help somebody else, like the homeless person, or like, are you happy when you give the middle finger to the person that cut you off? Like, where does your happiness, like, that ultimately decides, like, what's going to, you know, it's sort of like, it dictates, I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying?
No,
and
say
so
it a different way.
It's similar in what you're describing now, where you're saying what brings people together. Like, we're saying, what brings the person joy? Is it them doing something kind or loving other people, or is it being a jerk to somebody for your own ego? Same thing with this. Like, it's okay, what brings you together? Is it your love of music and your, you know, you want to talk about, what do the lyrics say? How is this, you know, like, how does this affect us? Like, you know, or are you brought together by, like you said, who you hate?
Right, but I don't think, this is interesting. Control said something and a line popped into my head. The lack of community feeling is at least well spread throughout the so-called Western world, more hyper-individualism, and that hurts the vast majority of people in various ways. Especially in America, where there's so much focus on the individual, supposedly. But so much focus on the individual. I am not sure that we know how to be a community. Because if you start off with individualism as the highest ethic or ethos, when you get thrust into a situation where you need community, I'm not sure that we know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know, people who are like mega community oriented don't know how to be alone. I think Americans have been so segmented and siloed, and I don't really know how it is in the Western European world. Like, I've only run into a few. I've only had like close working relationships with German and Polish individuals, but the context there, everybody loved everybody. Well, it was a who you hate thing, but it wasn't a. It was more of like a business type hate, like a professional type hate. It wasn't. We didn't really. Well, we hated some of the people. It's very, very complex. But like, my point is, everybody like was able to commune immediately, but the situation was so austere that you had no. That doesn't even count.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas, so I don't know what community is like in the Western, in the world outside of the United States. But I do think that, and I've always found it pretty easy to organize communities and build them.
Yeah. And you
They're
create
not
good
very,
ones
they're
too.
not very difficult to build.
For you. I think that's your particular gifting. I don't think that it's like that for everybody. If it was so simple, people would be doing it everywhere.
But see, I wasn't born in this country, right? And so
Yeah.
we didn't have. Jamaica's not a radically individualistic country. I mean, it's too small to be that way. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there was too much necessity for interdependence. And although I wasn't there for a very, very long time, see, my mother was a radical individualist. Like even to the point of our family, we were individuated from our family. Like we were not with each other at all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's interesting though because you create communities very easily. You integrate into communities really easily.
Yeah.
My family was not separated from our family. Like we, you know, our cousins are this or that, but I community is difficult for me. Like you see what I'm saying? Like you were almost raised to be more individual and we
Yeah.
were raised to be more like, but it almost, I'm not sure. Like I haven't really thought about it, but it didn't work like you would think it would.
I love the music, especially like that guitar segment when it was quiet and they were just having that little guitar moment.
Yeah.
I love, that was my favorite part of the song. I enjoyed that because I would have enjoyed it regardless, but the context of where we were, not only in this song, but the previous song, lyrically,
Yeah.
oddly enough, even
Yeah.
though we supposedly didn't like the previous song. But lyrically, the headspace that the previous song put us in kind of put us in a situation where, like, hearing that guitar interlude there's something peaceful about it. I don't know. I do think that the metal community has been able to do community pretty well.
Oh, I agree.
You see what I'm saying?
I agree. Yeah.
We've been able to do, but you know, there's idiots in the metal community. You know, the metal elitists and all the rest of it. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, the metal community is pretty like. This is what we're united upon, is the love for this music, and the love for being an outsider. You're outside of generalized conventional community, but inside, like we've got so many different people here. We've got government operative people here. We have actors here that are acting with A-list legends. Like we were watching True Detective yesterday. Shout out to director Franco. We're watching True Detective yesterday, and Dwayne sends me a picture. He's like, "Yeah, here's it wasn't Kurt Russell. It was some A-list actor guy, you know, taking a smoke between scenes." I'm like, we have such a diversified group of people here. You know, Archero, I don't know what the hell Archero does. You know what I'm saying? But we're all like centered around this one thing in the campfires, the music and how the music makes us feel, and everybody's allowed to say how they feel. You know, Dwayne can boo, which is not really a conventional thing you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? But like we accept each other. So it's like I think we're gonna do pretty good. Whatever we're going through as in the Western world, whatever transition we're going through in the Western world, I genuinely believe like the metal music community is gonna be particularly okay. You know what I'm saying? I really, really think it. Even in hip hop, you could see it. Like the zeitgeist isn't going so well over there. You know, like you've got the Drake people and the Kendrick people. You got the Chicago dudes are still killing each other. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's extremely tribal, and so tribal like you might die, or you might end up in one of Diddy's parties and all the rest of it. I'm not saying that the community doesn't have its problems, but I think we're going to be okay because I think we know how to do community very well, and I think some of that has to do with the fact that metal is so out and open with our feelings. It says like we lie to ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think like that real deep Ethan Hawke. I think that real deep drive toward authenticity in the metal community makes it so that, because you have to have that. You have to have authenticity to have genuine community, whatever the term community means.
Yeah.
And I think it just so happens that metal is about how do you authentically feel about this situation. See what I'm saying? And so we don't, the line one, we all lie to ourselves. At least in this situation, we don't. At least relative to how we feel about shit, we do not lie to ourselves in our community. This makes me angry. This makes me sad. This makes me want to shoot somebody. See what I'm saying? So like, and there is a genre within metal for every sort of person.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's variegated. It's the same guitar. It's the same notes, but it's
that's
variegated.
Yeah.
And there are a trillion subcultures for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, I saw 50 take. I saw 50 take shots at Diddy. If 50 has a high, I mean, look, man, 50 has always had a lot of high ground in our community because if you're an authentic murderer, if you're an authentic drug dealer, as long as you kept it real as an individual, then you're going to get respect.
Kept it real.
Who, Fifth?
What does it mean, kept it real?
So if you rap about killing shit, you better have
but
been
you
killing
really
shit.
did.
Yeah, I really did it. You see what I'm saying? So that's why Fifth has always had the respect, because
he really was in
he
the life.
he was known in Queens. Like all of us knew who Fifth was before he blew up. We all knew who he was. So long before he got commercial, we all knew who he was.
Even I heard of 50 Cent.
Yeah, well before you knew about him. Like when we were in New York, like New York knew who Fifth was. Like we understood what happened. We understand what was going on with him and Supreme. Like we all knew, because we knew who Supreme. We all knew who Supreme was, because every borough had their, and Supreme was the guy in that borough. And
I don't even know what's 50's story. I don't know what you mean.
It's too long.
Oh, okay.
But the main dude that was beefing with Supreme, we all knew every borough had their person. The main dude that was in Queens was this dude named Supreme. And Fifth and his crew were the ones that were beefing with Supreme.
Okay.
So we all knew who Fifth was before he became 50 Cent.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. So
how old is he? Is he
he's
our age,
like
or?
Diddy's age. Yeah, no, he's like Diddy's age now.
Okay.
But like there's a metal subgenre I could be a real turd about, but mostly respect even if I don't like it. What is it? What is it, Archero? I'm curious.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I know metalheads could also be elite, for sure. Empty eyes and wanting lips, loss spills over onto itself. Ugh.
I know. Wait, why did you say ugh?
Well, loss spills over onto itself. It's just basically loss on top of loss.
Yeah,
is what it
exactly.
looked like
Yeah,
to me.
I thought it was a great way of.
Yeah, I got a distant friend that is now entered into his season. His brother just died.
Oh.
And it's crazy. Like sometimes I look at my kids, they're so small, I'm like, you're right at the beginning, man.
Oh my god.
Like there's so much life you have to live. You know what I'm saying? I can feel terrible for him. And like I'm looking at my friend, I think about, because I think about him, I'm like, man, because I know what kind of life he lived, and it's like these kind of losses, like, it's crazy because I've had so much of them. You figure I'd be desensitized to the other person, but I feel so bad for him because I'm like, he doesn't have any of the scar tissue that's necessary to deal with these kinds of death. What's his?
Are we back?
I hope we're back. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I mean, there's, you know how, like, stuff is sort of, like, repeated in, like, for instance, if you have a tree and you lose part of the tree, if, like, you could cut the entire top of a tree off, and if no growth comes out the side, that thing's gonna die completely. But if something starts sprouting out the sides and growth comes from it, like, half the tree can be dead, but it can still go out from there. So, like, you can see, like, nature tells you things, you know? And I remember when I was a teenager, my mom used to have this book that was just, like, you know, basically, like, little advice sequences. And that was, like, one of the quotes was something like that in there, like, basically, like, and I remember thinking, okay, if I ever go through a loss, I have to make sure that growth comes out from somewhere else so I don't, you know, crumble in within that. But you said, like, you know, homeboy doesn't have these scars that would help him in this situation. Now, I don't know, like, I've not been in your situation and I've not been in his situation, but if you think of, like, scars and how that works, if you keep scarring the same area, it becomes more and more messy, and the scars actually impede the, like my Achilles, I ruptured it playing basketball. Some dope stepped on me when I went to jump, or whatever happened. Anyway, we frozen again?
Refresh it. I think we're good.
Anyway, that part, like, they said keep that moving all the time so that way it doesn't build up scar tissue. But even as much as I kept it moving, it still built up scar tissue, and it's weird. Like, that part of my ankle is weird. And so when you say, like, you know, the scar tissue, I'm not so sure if a bunch of losses builds you or it messes it more.
I don't wish a bunch of losses on anybody. But
no, I didn't think that
no
you did.
losses, and then that kind of a loss is terrible. But anyway, shout out to him. Good luck, buddy. Solid 9 for me. Solid 9 for me.
Oh, really? It was actually a 9.8 for me. I loved it.
Wow, it's going into your playlist?
Yeah, I would listen to this one again for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would not have assumed so. Okay.
And I liked the part where he said, he says, GD me and everything, the trials of hate and heartache, a reminder of my mistakes. For me, that was like, when you experience hate or heartache and if you're trying to lie to yourself and not pay attention, then you'll miss it. But if you're actually looking at the situation and something hurts you or makes you feel a certain way, and then you stop and you think, okay, did I ever do this to anybody in my life? And then you realize that you did, and you realize what that person felt like when you did X, Y, and Z thing. So that's what that reminded me of. The trials of hate and heartache, a reminder of my mistakes. And I think that that's, in some ways, a healthy way of experiencing, you know, pain from other people or that stuff. So, yeah. I liked that part too.
I didn't take the goddamn me and everything as a curse word.
Yeah, I
took it as everything is so fucked up at this point, including us, that anytime I look at this Israel-Palestine stuff, I'm like, just kill everybody. Just get rid of all of us. Just get rid of it. This group over here is completely apathetic. This group over here is completely anti-Semitic. This group over here cares nothing for the Palestinians. All they care about is, you know, just kill us all, man. Just get rid of it. Just get rid of the whole damn thing. Like, that's how I feel about it. But, you know, he's seen fit to raise the sun again over this planet. So I guess there's a reason we're all still here.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. You know, like when people talk about the flood and they're like, how could God have done that? And when you read it in Genesis, it says that basically that everybody only did evil continually. And
the thoughts of mankind were only evil continually.
yeah, and you're like, okay, that's kind of crazy, especially, like you're saying with this, this starvation in Palestine, like how the Palestinian people, how could this be happening? And
you got people that are really hurt over what's happening to Palestinian people, and so their solution is that every Jewish person on the planet should be dead. It's like, isn't that what we're all upset about? Is that you've got people that want to completely annihilate all Palestinians? So your response is we should eliminate all Jewish people? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But this is including the refuseniks and the Jews that are protesting down Haifa all the time because they're upset that about what their government is doing.
But this is why. Am I cutting you?
No, go.
This is why I love the pro-life, our pro-life stance.
I can't stand the pro-life movement.
I know, but I love it because, before I've always been against abortion, but I wasn't always against the death penalty, nor was I always against, I'm pretty much, I don't want people to get killed. So wars and all of that should be avoided. I do think, though, that there are some people that it's unavoidable. Like, there are some people that are so wicked and so evil, like, they have to be stopped. And I'm not saying, like, I don't believe that Christians should go around, enacting that, you know what I'm saying?
Individually, there are people, and within certain groups, sure, absolutely. But I'm talking about, you got people that want everybody in a group dead.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Everybody's got to go. Mm-hmm. Like, that's, dethrone or refresh, I think the audio sync will be fine. But yeah, so I did want to talk about that. Like, goddamn me and everything else. Yeah, I'm with that for sure. Yeah, I don't dislike the pro-life movement for the reason you dislike a controller. I dislike the pro-life movement because I've been completely disillusioned with the pro-life movement relative to Israel-Palestine and other atrocities that are happening all over the world.
No, I hear you.
That they genuinely, clearly do not give a fuck about. Yeah. I got people right now that I stood side by side with. Well, willing to die, willing to go to prison for them, literally. Like, I'm not exaggerating.
No, I know.
And like,
yeah,
they're not saying a word.
Right.
We got a fucking genocide going on. They're not saying a word.
I'm like, heard,
what are we doing?
But I think that,
but there's two fucking trans people in the state. There's two of them. There's two trans people in the state. And they got like 9-10 posts in a week about these two trans kids in the whole fucking state. Mm-hmm. And our tax, not only are these people, is our ally killing these people, we're also killing them with our tax dollars and not saying a word. Like, I thought it just seems to me there's always a class of people that people are fine with killing wholesale. And even in the pro-life movement, like, we're fine.
Well, what would you call it instead?
A pro-life American, which is fine, man. Just mass murder of I remember one time we were out there and the guy was like, well, how come you guys aren't upset about war? And I remember saying to him, I am against war, actually.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like such a big own on the guy, but he was right. Uh-huh. It just so happened that he ran into the exception to the rule at the moment, but he was right.
Yeah.
Man, fuck those people, bro.
Yeah. That's
Yeah. I'm always gonna be I am pro human life, man.
Yeah.
And it is terrifying to me how I'm legitimately terrified, honestly, at how human beings, especially modern Western human beings, we now have access. This is not like World War II or even Vietnam, where that shit's happening over there, blah, blah, blah. Like, anybody that knows how to manipulate the internet, like, you can see firsthand what the fuck is going on. You could see it. I saw a picture. It was crazy. Catholics draw the craziest memes. But it was this child, and he was dug out of the rubble, and he was blue. And Jesus held him up to some church people and said, "This is my body." And I was like, yo, crazy. Like, and I just thought to myself, yeah, Jesus, if you showed up in a church and did that, they'd cry for a second, fucking go right back to what the fuck they were doing. Because we do not care. We don't care. We don't. And that's terrifying. That's terrifying to me. You know? And then I got friends who will cry their eyes out about Palestinian children and Palestinian babies, but 3 months earlier, they wouldn't give a fuck.
About the
They
Palestinian
would
babies?
care if the kid...
What do you mean?
Literally, there was this Palestinian baby. It was a baby, newborn. He wasn't a newborn. His mother had been killed, and so they basically had to dig this kid out of the rubble and his mother. And so one of my left-wing friends was crying his eyes out. But I know this guy. And I know where he stands. If that baby would have been around in a different place 3 months earlier and the mom decided, he would have been fine.
Oh.
He'd have been fine. None of my business.
Why are you coding it like that?
Is what he used to say. I'm not trying to argue with people. I'm just so sick of everybody, man. And honestly, I don't want to see people in the chat justify this shit. See what I'm saying? I don't even want to see people find, well, it's just not the same thing. I don't even want to see it because I want to like people. But it's terrifying to me that we can know all this shit and we don't. But like, our pro-life friends will cry over the baby.
Yep.
But then they won't cry over the Palestinian baby.
Right.
Then I got other friends who'll cry over the Palestinian baby, but they won't cry over the American baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's just like, goddamn everybody, man. I don't fucking everybody, man. Yeah, all of us. Because it's like, you got other people that respect all human life, but have taken part in things that have resulted in the end of human life. And you could say, oh, well, those guys are bad, or those guys are fighting back, and those guys... You still did it. Doesn't matter. I don't know. We all deserve to go. We all deserve. And then that is kind of where the we're lying to ourselves thing is kind of accurate for me, is because, like, I don't want to... I want to lie to myself about some of the people I love. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you just got to be like, yep, just ignore that part.
Yeah.
Ignore that psychopathic murderous.
Yeah.
Just ignore it. Because you got to get along. You got to get along with them.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like
they have other redeeming qualities.
I see what you're saying.
If I do, they have to, right? Go ahead.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. The apathy too. And when I say the apathy, I don't just. I'm talking about myself too. You know, like, and part of it is because, my God, I live with you, and the way that you see something and feel something for forever is both. It's I have such a weird relationship with it, because on the one hand, it's like we can't be so heavy every day. Like, you gotta don't look if you have to not look. But then there's the other side of like, right, but you can't not look and not look.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I struggle so much with
As
that.
in me, you know,
I
like,
struggle so much with that. Because I'm like, it's not fair to you guys. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That they get, I'm delivering such a horrible product. You know what I'm saying? Of myself, you know, to my family. And at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to look at it, but these people are living it, and I almost feel like I owe them the attention to balance out the apathy, which is ridiculous. That's like, and like recently, I was able to come up with a couple like things that have helped me like move away and look away from that. Like, that's kind of like a Messiah complex, right? Like, Jesus is the one that's supposed to look at everybody's pain and
Yeah.
absorb everybody's
Yeah.
pain and die over everybody's pain, not
Yeah.
you. If Jesus' suffering is not enough to do that, then what the fuck is yours gonna do? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So that's helped me, like, be able to disengage, and be less angry. I'm still angry and I'm still hurt every day over all this shit, but it helped me justify
Yeah.
my Twitter thing.
yeah, no,
It
I
helped
hear that.
justify my self-imposed Twitter ban. It helped justify
Yeah.
my Middle America self-imposed ban. Go ahead.
There are certain topics for me that are, difficult. And so one of the things that, this is new that I'm trying out, is to say these certain things I will not spend time thinking about unless I'm in my prayer closet. So if I'm going to pray about it, then I'm going to think about the details and I'm going to go through it and then I'm going to pray harder. And in the atmosphere of prayer, or in the atmosphere of like, God, you got to help us with this, instead of falling in my despair over it when I'm thinking about it while I'm cooking dinner, or X, Y, and Z. And it's just like almost more of like this like wallowing, or this like overwhelming wall of, it's like feeling like the Egyptians when the the water caved in on them after the God's people crossed the Red Sea. It's like, okay, I'm gonna think about I'm gonna think about it and I'm gonna pray about it, but I'm not gonna, because you have to employ the also like, we're not supposed to worry about tomorrow, and fear not is said so many times in the Bible. Fear not, fear not, fear not. And there's like, but it's like, well, okay, well, I'm over here and they're over there and that's their babies that are under the rubble. What would I be saying to myself if I was in that situation? But I feel like that's the only, at least at this point, it's the only responsible way that I can see to be able to not be callous and careless and care, like literally care less about other people's suffering. Especially when I'm like, I said the other day, like I was passing out 2 drinks to my kids. They had a little cup of tea and they had a cup of milk, and then there are these, and then that's when I read that those babies are starving over there. It's like, I just can't. And I'm like, okay, that's gotta be, I've got to take that in a certain place, and I'm gonna take it when I'm in prayer, because I can't ignore it and look away from it. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't do those babies any good, or my own babies any good, for me to think about it without being in a state of prayer, because I cannot help them, but I can pray and God can move things.
Yeah. All right, guys. I gave it a 9. You gave it a 9.
I give it a 9.8. I loved it. Yeah.
So I'm never going to listen to this song again because it's associated with this horrible conversation. Let's go to the next song, dear listener.
All right, let's see, what do our alliances have next. We have a song. I'm going to let you read that title.
Cibo Matto?
Yeah, Lint of Love.
Is that the name of the song?
Yeah.
Lint of Love?
Lint of Love.
Who is this for?
I don't know yet.
Is that for Kel?
No idea. Let's
It
see.
says NV. Who's NV?
Negative vibes. It's gotta be
Negative vibes in this bitch.
As the anarchist of A99. Oh, actually, give me a timestamp.
Timestamp is.
Oh my God, this again.
Actually, go to the restream thing. It might have it.
Yeah, but that's not gonna.
No, doesn't. Have
Yeah, that's not gonna. That's all right. I'm just gonna do this. What is it? 1842.
Yeah, 1842.
Okay. All right. Lint of Love.
The only solution I've been able to come up with all the big world things I can do nothing about. I can be the kind with the people that I do interact with, and I just try to do that as best as I can.
Yeah, I like that Archero as well. Yes.
I love Archero.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen Archero sin in my life. I've never seen Archero say anything bad ever in my life. No, seriously. I mean, he must at some level.
I know,
he must.
right. Because
But
we
I've-
do believe in original sin.
I do, but I've
We've
never seen it.
Some of his song selections, though.
Some of his song
That
selections
he's assaulted
are
us
sinful.
with,
Mark,
okay?
Yeah, Mark, forgive him. Forgive him.
Forgive him.
Forgive him.
All right, let's go. As the head anarchist of A99 Alliance, I wanted to pick out something super faithful to the group and the super wide spread of styles in which we specialize. When it comes to wild genre blends, you can't get much better than New York City's own eclectic group,
Cibo Matto.
The band is fronted by 2 Japanese immigrants. Jeez. It makes me think of our poor Canton Walk people.
Oh, yeah.
Miho Haitaro and Yuka Honda, active mainly in the mid to late 1990s. After their debut album in 1996, they recruited Sean Lennon, the son of John Lennon and Yoko Ono. You'll hear his bass work and his voice a little bit in this track. The track I picked out is titled Lint of Love, off their second album, the 1999 release Stereo Type A. Try and see if you can pick out how many different genres get blended together in this one. To me, it's just about the most uniquely New York kind of song out there. Note, I put in an unofficial link for the sake of the stream. No need to watch the video. It's just some random thing the guy uploaded. All right. Lyrics have been sent to you, Vincent.
Cibo Matto, the Lint of Love.
A pocket lint?
No. Sean John Lennon. I see what you did there. I don't know if you see what you did there, though. Here we go.
Yeah.
This one had that weird walk, right?
I can say I'm good at cleaning it, baby. The lint of love, it's made of dust of confusion. You see, the president is in trouble. Every cent you make is floating in a bubble. My heart's content, I can find it in the Bible. It doesn't say how to take away the lint of love. I can't help myself. I can't help myself. Human beings, always hard to believe. What you think is not quite alright at the other side of my nation. Got 2 eyes, but we only got 1 mouth. We could live, we could jive. We could live, we could jive. Without the lint of love, I can't help myself. I can't help myself. We can't avoid the lint of love, and you've got to know how to take it away. We can't avoid the lint of love, and you've got to know how to take it away. We can't avoid the lint of love, but you got to know how to take it away. We can't avoid the lint of love, but you got to know how to take it away. We can't avoid the lint of love, but you got to know how to take it away. We can't avoid the lint of love, but you got to know how to take it away.
Aura ornaments, seems like I got some lint on my aura. What can we do? I have to pour it out. I move quickly like Aquarius. I do it like this cause this seems serious. It piles up, yes on my chakra, but I got ya from a distance and I spot ya. Love lint, I feel ya. Whatever I do, you know I'm gonna move ya. When we do it on the microphone, we go deep into the chromosomes with love lint,
Mama told me how to wash rice clean. She didn't tell me how to clean the lint of love. I can't help myself. I can't help myself. I can't help myself. I can't help myself.
You gotta watch the future.
right, that's the Lint of Love, which we apparently cannot avoid.
Right.
You listener?
Right. Okay, want to talk about synchronicity. I literally called maintenance today to change the filter in our air thing.
Yeah?
The man was like, the filter was really bad. And I said, how does it get like that? He was like, skin.
He told you
and
the Lint of Love?
I was like, oh my gosh. And there was like, he opened up the door where it is, and there was I couldn't even believe it. Like, my OCD kicked in. He was like, I don't know if you want to, I took a broom, I was like taking it all down. So it was just like a weird song.
If you don't want to what?
Well, he was, saying, like, he didn't want to tell me, like, lady, clean this. But he was like, if you want to, because it's behind a locked door.
Well, I mean, what are you supposed to do about it?
Well, no, I know, but he was just giving me the opportunity because he unlocked it for me so I could see. And when I saw it, I was horrified. So I cleaned it all off. So when she's talking about the Lint of Love, I know.
This was such a terrible song.
Wait, it was okay. It was it was fun in a way, right?
That was fun and how terrible it was.
I know. Okay, the rap scheme. I know, like Vin, does the best rap ever.
No,
but this
I'm not
even
mad at the rap. I'm not even mad at the rap.
But the rap was fun sounding.
The Lint of Love.
I know.
The Lint of Love.
I didn't really understand why you would.
They don't really mean this song to be serious. There's no way.
Do you think
they're like, we're just gonna? They were smoked up. See what I'm saying? There's a lot of problems going on in the world.
Or they
were smoked up.
This is not their first language.
No, it doesn't matter. We've listened to a lot of bands where English is not their first language.
She said
who've crushed it, and they're Japanese, so that means they're smart. There's no way. There's no way. It has
they
nothing
said like
to do with
if your shirt's dirty, you're gonna basically got to take it off and wash it. But that's you have to clean the filter, like when you're the dryer filter. I didn't understand why are they comparing love to that? I'm sure you want to keep the Lint of Love.
Ain't no easy way. I've been lazy. You're too sexy. I feel I'm just crazy. Are you sure you want to keep the Lint of Love? Stop! This is a joke. They're not being serious. Why are you trying to make this a serious song? This is a troll, obviously. The Lint of Love? Come on. I will say, though, if you look at the lyrics, don't forget to change your dishcloth of love as well. You see what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about? The stains of love as well? We're going to wash out the stains of love? Shout out to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you know, you know. That's a bonus. If somebody understood that joke, I would probably give them a free song.
Oh God,
I really would. You'd have to be really
just be
quick.
glad you don't get the free song.
You'd have to be really quick and very knowledgeable.
Yeah, or be married to you, because I know.
Yeah. Can you tell what you really want, baby? Okay. I will say the Lint of Love is probably like, because lint sticks to you, and you don't notice it. You see what I'm saying? It's like so ubiquitous, you don't notice it. You got to get a lint roller to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So,
well,
it's just talking about it might be talking about the everlasting nature of love itself, right? That's why he said you can't avoid the Lint of Love.
I think it doesn't matter how many times you wash stuff. You put it through the dryer and the lint. I am always amazed that there's lint that falls off. That much lint that would collect on the tray. And so you're saying
it's the stick-to-itiveness of love itself. You see what I'm saying? Like you can't avoid it.
Right.
And you can't willy-nilly get rid of it. You got to really make a concerted effort to get rid of the lint. You see, you got to make a concerted effort to get rid of lint.
Yeah.
That's what you got to wash your filter because the lint fills up so fast. It's going to take an effort. If it's a dirty shirt, you got to take it off. I don't understand why you're so afraid. Should call me when you cry. Instead, you always lie. So, it's a relationship song, I think. And
it just figures that it would,
You see, the president is in trouble. Every cent you make is floating in a bubble. My heart's content. I can't find it in the Bible. Doesn't say how to take away the lint of love. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But again, like, this was in 1999. Who was the president in 99? Was that Clinton?
Clinton? That's what I was guessing, literally, when you read it.
So if this came out in 99, they probably wrote it in 98. That's when he was in trouble with Monica Lewinsky, all type of shit. So the president's in trouble. Every cent you make is floating in a bubble. So it's probably talking about, you know, the lint of love for the president. You know what I'm saying? Because he got caught up in it, too.
Yeah.
He got caught up in it. I can't say I'm good at cleaning it, baby. The lint of love is made of dust of confusion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes love functions in funk for sex as well. You know, you can't take my love. You know, it functions in sex. So, yeah. All right, we're gonna jump out of this. We're gonna.
5?
Did they go to
6?
White Castle?
I'll give it a 6.
My heart's content. I can't find it in the Bible. It's funny to me how to wash away the lint of love. Human beings always so hard to believe. What you think is not quite all right at the other side of the nation got 2 eyes, but we only got 1 mouth. We could live, we could jive, we could live, we could jive without the lint of love. I can't help myself. We can't avoid the lint of love, and you got to know how to take it away.
Okay, I'm actually gonna bump mine to a 7.2.
You got to be kidding me.
No, for real. I actually liked I know that the rap was like.
Why do you keep bringing up the rap? I don't care about the rap.
Well, it's funny
I give
to me
him credit
because
for the rap because he's Japanese.
yeah,
English
you
not first
didn't
language.
like it, but I actually really liked the cadence and like. Look at what
What do you mean I didn't like it? I didn't say I didn't like it.
You literally did when it was playing.
No, I didn't say I didn't like it.
What'd
I just
you
said
say?
it was trash. I don't mean I don't like it. It's trash for sure, but I understand why he's trash. It's not his first language. You see what I'm saying?
You like trash then?
Nah.
So you didn't like it?
No, you can be neutral. And that's the reason you got scratched trying to be a G. Look at you.
This is what happens in our discussions. Now you see why I'm confused. Okay. What are you rating the song, sir?
Well, you're confused because everything is so extreme with you. There's no mediating points. It's either A or B. It could be A.5. It could be B.7. Ain't got to be either A or B. You know what I'm saying?
But it's easier if it's A or B, right? You know what they did with the flowers? He loves me not, he loves me. Simple. He loves me, he may not. There's something in the middle.
I got to give this score something higher than the polka thing because the polka thing has to be dead
Yeah, that's
last.
why I
unless
changed
the next
mine.
song is absolute garbage.
I changed mine. I'm going with a 7.2 because
Okay.
I did like the rap.
I'm going to give this one. I'm going to give.
What? Could be pie?
No, like sometimes you'll come to me with a horrible idea, and anytime I hear you start the conversation with "Hear me out,"
Oh.
I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm like, somebody should have said no
Somebody means somebody should have said
at
no.
band practice. I feel like somebody said,
Oh,
hear me out." You see what I'm saying? Like the lint of love. Like somebody sold somebody that in band practice. I'm gonna have to give this one a 6.4. 6.4, dear listener.
7.2.
All right, what's the next John?
All right, let's see.
See, that's the other thing is it stays in your head though.
Mm-hmm.
The lint of love.
All right, Orphaned. Give me a timestamp first.
Timestamp for this one is going to be 36:19.
Okay. Orphaned land, the storm still rages inside. Ooh, okay.
How dare you?
How
How
dare
dare
you
you say that, Dwayne?
Orphaned Land is an Israeli band you have done twice before. Once a long time ago, and then during the Rockathon.
I remember.
This album and indeed most of their albums have lyrics in English, Hebrew, and Arabic. The band has advocated tirelessly for peace and unity in the Middle East. Thank God. This song is off Mabul, the story of the three sons of Seven. This was their third album and marked a huge shift in the band away from the folk-influenced melodic death metal of their first two albums to a progressive folk metal style, still retaining some elements of melodic death metal on some songs. This particular song closes out the story of the album, which in the second half deals with Noah's Ark. But the album as a whole deals with 3 sons, prophets, one representing Islam, one representing Judaism, and one representing Christianity. This song in particular is a lamentation, almost a prayer really, as the survivors of the flood are praying to be led to a new home. This is meant to be listened to in combination with the preceding track, Mabul, the flood, as they do flow into each other, but the song stands well on its own.
All right, here we are. I don't think I downloaded that one.
Okay, well, I'll talk to the people.
Literally, there's Crippling, Alcoholism, and Mabul.
Mabul?
Talk to the people.
I thought that's what we just talked about, Mabul. You
Oh
just
my
said
God,
Mabul.
No, don't worry about it. It's not there.
All right, let's...
Fucking Lint of Love thing is stuck in my fucking head. Ridiculous. I can't believe it. It's gonna fuck with me.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, you guys, I have got the chat up fresh now. So if you guys have any questions, we're here to answer them. Refresh. Let's go. Chat open. All right, if you've typed anything previously, I can't see it. You have to start typing from now. Yeah, that was one of the things. When it mentioned the 3 prophets, it kind of made me, it ended up going to Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was going to be Shem, Ham, and Japheth, which are Noah's sons.
Yeah.
Okay, so Negative Vibe says, Vin, you're going to go back and listen to it again. I bet you any amount of money.
He's talking about the Lint of Love.
Wait, are you talking about the Lint of Love?
Yeah.
Mabul is the album, says Controller of Minds.
He's a liar.
Yeah, there was a big push for them to be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize some years ago. It got a lot of support, but never went anywhere. Wait,
That would be the most epic thing of all time. Sori, do you really like Vin's lyrics?
Oh, yeah, he has really good lyrics. And the other thing, too, about Vin's lyrics is if I listen to the song and then I listen to it again, every time I listen to it, if I focus on a different part of it, because there's some parts that flow so good, like I just am waiting for that part. But then all of his stuff really works well together, and there's multiple layers of meaning. So you could really listen to one song for a really long time and still not gather all the meanings from it. Yeah, he does really, really, really well. Okay, so, oh yeah, I just read that one. Let's
you don't know the half of it. I'm trying to be a pacifist. I'm not gonna do that. I'm trying to push peace.
I complimented the singer for wearing a Fear of the Dark shirt, my favorite Maiden song. It's so hard for me to not tell the people about my horrible situation when I was waiting for the girls at their dentist appointment.
Yes. Good discipline.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Here we go. Orphaned Land. We should have a talk about 6-1 Vin and Sori. I don't know what 6-1 is.
6-1, that's... Yeah, I'll... That's because it's not a stream.
Hey,
It'll get
DJ Nick and his bitch.
recorded and released. What's up? Ouch, 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 ouch.
All right, guys, let's go.
Let's do it.
Boom, boom. All right, here we go. Orphaned Land. What's the title of the song, babe?
Yeah, so let's... Yeah, should I... I'll clip it. Yeah. Okay. So we have Orphaned Land, the storm still rages inside.
Orphaned Land. Do you want to give a new timestamp?
Sounds like me a night after we've had a fight. And
41.
The storm still rages inside. Okay, what do you say?
41:55. Let's just get this going.
All in good fun, babe. All in good fun. The storm still rages inside.
Let's go. Yeah, just shut the
Lightning flashes
the ark was swept upon the rising water. mighty flood upon the land, where once were green pastures teeming with life, now were oceans deeper than any abyss. Out of depths of sorrow I cry for thee I dive. This world shall inherit the mile. Hear your orphan child.
That was a deep song, man. This, I'm assuming, is in the middle of a concept album. If I'm.
No, I thought they said it was the end. I thought it was the last song.
Was it the last song? Okay. The Child's Choir was recorded in an old temple in Jerusalem, according to the album liner notes. So that
Say it
was
again,
that
sorry.
was kids at the end singing.
Really?
The last lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
That wow. That's beautiful. Did they say that this is songs of the...
What are you looking for?
I just want to know if this is the last song. This particular song closes out the story of the album, which in the second half deals with Noah's Ark. Right. Wow. This is meant to be listened to in combination with the preceding track, Mabul, The Flood. Oh man, that must have been incredible. But Nick was saying that this is one that he's thinking about doing as an album review, so we'll cross our fingers for that.
And we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yes. Okay. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna let you go first because the part I really liked was the ending. So I'll let you start it off.
No, go with what you liked.
Well, I thought that the ending of the song was incredible. When it went into "Hear Your Orphaned Child," it was over for me at that point. It reminded me of the prodigal son and how, like, he was away from his father's house, and then at some point after he spends all of his inheritance, because, I mean, back then they didn't have, like, money. It wasn't like you take it out of your 401k. If the kid asked for his inheritance, you had to literally sell off half of your farm, half your animals, half your whatever. So he told the father that's what he wanted to do, and so the dad sold off his stuff, gave the money to the kid, and then he just blew it on just worthless living, nothing profitable at all. Anyway, he ends up getting a job at, like, this pig farm, which to a Middle Eastern person at that time period, that was like the lowest of, like, I mean, pigs, swine. Anyway, he realizes he's, like, eating the pig's food, and then he's like, what am I doing? Like, even my father's servants are treated better than this. I'll just go get a job for my dad. Like, I'll work as a servant in his house because it's going to be better than what I'm doing. And so then he heads back home, but he doesn't realize, like, the father's been looking for him every day. And when he comes walking up, like, the dad, like, lifts the front of his garment to run to his son, and has a party for him and everything. And Jesus compares that to, like, people leaving, people, we go through difficult things and whatever, and we journey away from God, but there's still, like, that part of us that, like, is still seeking for him. And so they come back around. And so when it was like, hear your orphan child, like, it's that it just had that vibe to it for me. Like, I know that there's the story of the flood and stuff like that, but, like, for me it was more like that, and it was like a prayer. And then when it got to Lord, pray tell, save this child, the storm still rages inside, Lord, guide them unto dry land, amen. So the part that said, save the child, thy child, the storm still rages inside, that was like, okay, so hear your orphan child was like this prayer of, like, the person coming back to God and being like, just like, hear your orphan child, not realizing that an orphan child of God is still a child of God, even though they feel like they're far away. And so that part was super cool to me. And then when he said, when it says the storm still rages inside, that to me was like, even the prodigal son when he returns, or the person when they come back toward God after wherever they've been, it doesn't matter. Like, you're not a perfect person still. You were still born in sin. And so there's still going to be this storm that's raging inside of you, because there's still, like, you're not a perfect person, and you never will be, not on this side of eternity. We got to, but anyway, then when the ending part came, and it was like the kids' voices singing, I didn't know it was kids' voices, but to me, it was like, I was picturing the ark, and I was picturing it in the water, and I was picturing, like, the angels singing, Lord, guide them unto dry land, amen. And it was like, because there's this, in Genesis, it talks about, well, actually, I think it's more in Proverbs than maybe the Psalms, but anyway, in the Bible, talks about, like, that like wisdom rejoiced when God created like the world, and it sort of gives you this picture that like the angels are rejoicing, just like it says that when one sinner repents,
shouted for joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the idea that when one sinner repents, somebody comes back to God and they're like, you know what, I'm throwing this out. I need to get to God, whatever that means. Like I don't want to hide it anymore. Like I want to be seen, known by God, and I want to know Him too. Like when you hit that point, like it says that all the angels, they rejoice and they like have a party. So to me, when it did that part and there was those voices, it was even more special that it was kids' voices, because there is a certain innocence about kids that is divine. You know, it images God in ways that we lose as we age. But when it said Lord God, I could just picture like the angels like singing as the ark is like coming toward Mount Ararat? I didn't know. Anyway, so yeah, it was incredible. I was sold at that part, but especially when they kept repeating, "Hear your orphan child," like I don't know, it was like a prayer for me. I just was like,
yeah, I took the kids as kids, because you're right, they're closer. They haven't lost what we've lost yet in varying degrees. They inevitably will as they age, but as children they haven't. And so when it says Lord guide them, because Jesus said that the kingdom belonged to children. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
if anybody is going to be praying for the salvation of humanity, it would be the children. You know what I'm saying? Because they've got it figured out. We've forgotten it. So that last part, and there's so much hope when you think about kids, because like, how do I say this? There's sometimes I sit and think to myself, yeah, but those guys are going to die in the next 10 years. You know, Johnny Mac and the rest of them boys. Just,
yeah.
You know, and for me, you know, as a Christian, a lot of these people I'm talking about are Christians, so they're going off to their reward, you know, if I really believe what I believe. But hopefully the younger generation can look at the mistakes of our fathers and then us being fathers and do something different. You know, learn something different and do something different.
Yeah.
The children kind of become a symbol of that, and it's tough because they cannot remain children forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so one of Jesus's really interesting innovations was to consistently and constantly call God Father. There are, I think, about 2, Jeremiah and a couple other passages in the Old Testament in total, where God directly says, "I am your father," or "You're my son," to humanity. Actually, I don't think you ever hear it for humanity in the Old Testament. But, you know, in the New Testament, you hear God being called the Father of lights.
Yeah.
You know, the Father of all, that type of thing. And it seems simple to us because we've been so soaked and inundated with Christianity. But Allah is never a father. That's actually a blasphemy in the Quranic literature.
Why?
Because Jesus is the Son of God, and Allah basically says he has no consort, so how could he have a son?
Oh.
God bless my Muslim brothers and sisters, but that indicates to me a misunderstanding of what we mean by Jesus being the Son. We don't mean that Jesus, that God the Father had a girlfriend, copulated with said girlfriend, and then out popped Jesus, and yay, Jesus is the Son of God.
Right.
It's a way of explaining the divine perichoresis. In other words, how the members of the Trinity interacted with each other for all eternity.
Yeah.
And so what we're saying is that we have 3 persons who were in relationship to each other, and the closest we could come is father and son kind of relationship. And so God allows for the term Son of God to be used, to be applied to Christ, so that we could have a categorical understanding of how they related. So Islam does not have a doctrine of divine sonship. where God is the Father and humanity is the Son, or the goal is a restoration of a father-son relationship. Most of the time when we talk about the prodigal son, we talk about it in an individualist perspective.
Yep.
You need to come back to God, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
But I think the ultimate, if you look at the context of the passage, it was groups of people.
Oh?
So the context of the prodigal son was that the Pharisees and the religious people were judging Jesus for hanging out with tax collectors and sinners,
Yep.
which is another group of people.
Yeah.
And so when Jesus tells the story, the prodigal son is obviously the tax collectors and sinners, and the older brother is obviously the Pharisees.
Yeah.
And what usually happens is we're on the side of the tax collectors and sinners, and fuck the Pharisees, fuck religious judgmental people. But that's not how the prodigal son ends. The prodigal son ends with, you're always with me and everything I have is yours.
Yeah.
He's saying that to the Pharisees.
Yes. Yeah.
And it ends with an invitation to come in and party. And so you could really divide humanity, especially at that time period, into nasty, horrible, disgusting people who care nothing about God and religion, and hyper-religious people. And there's a sense in which that's all humanity.
Yeah.
So all humanity are the prodigal son, and all humanity is going to be, restored to God type of thing. And so when you look at it from that perspective, this song has it right, because these three brothers are basically the representative of a lot of human beings. It's not just these three individual sons. So when it says, hear your orphan child, there's three sons at least in this thing.
Yes.
But it's child
One.
singular.
Yeah.
And I think it's this band, I don't know much about this band or the history of this band, but based on Kel's introduction, it's sort of a all humanity thing here. Nobody gets left out. These three are representatives because in Israel you have those three that have to coexist but have been fighting each other for a long time.
Yeah.
But I also think they've extrapolated that out to just be all humanity, because the idea is if these three can get along, then everybody can get along. See what I'm saying? So the concept of God being the Father, and then the Son, the Holy Spirit is not the one that incarnated. It was the Son that incarnated.
Yes.
And then the Son gets called the image of God, which is basically saying this is a pinnacle human being. And the pinnacle human being is a son. Unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. And obviously that also includes daughters. And so God in Jesus is basically saying, what I want from you is just be a child and come home. That's it. That's it. That's it. If you're a child and you come home and you recognize me as your father, you're going to eventually start looking like me, talking like me.
Yeah.
You're going to eventually start looking like your brother. So your behavior modification, it's going to happen, okay? It's going to change. But, what we're focused on is behavior modification. Stop doing this, stop doing this, stop doing this, stop doing that. And the story of the prodigal, the prodigal son, the bad son, whatever, the father didn't tell him, okay, I'll throw a party for you if you stop doing this, if you stop doing this, if you start doing, it's just, you came home.
Yeah.
You recognize that I'm good and I'm your father. Because he says, what am I doing? My dad was yada, yada, yada. It implies that he had a sort of, man, fuck my dad type of attitude before. And so it's like, come in. And then to the older brother who's judging the younger brother, the father doesn't say, stop being so judgmental and religious. All he says is, we had to celebrate. Come in and celebrate with us. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all he's commanded to do. And a lot of people don't understand. That's all the message was. The message is simply just come inside and be a son. Live in the house with me.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the requirement.
Yeah.
And if you truly do live in the house with God and your big brother Jesus, you're going to start looking like him. You know what I'm saying?
The other thing, too, is that when the prodigal son said, give me my inheritance, it's crazy because he's like, give me my inheritance. And the father doesn't say, no, I can see that you're too irresponsible for you to have this right now. And you're going to go off and I'm sure the father knew.
Yeah.
But he was like, okay, here you go. And then he went and just crazy living. But then he made it home and the father was waiting. It was like he knew he was going to come back. Yeah. And so you almost get this picture, of God, where when we're running off doing whatever it is that we're doing, he's waiting for our return. And I just don't think that, like, I guess I used to always think that God was, like, super offended, like the sort of religion. You know, like that guy in that story where he's like, there's the sinner at the front of the church and he's like beating his chest saying like, I sin against God. But then the other one's like, well, I'm so glad I'm not like that one. You could somehow picture God like almost looking at it like in this sort of judgmental way, like, oh, look at all the, but I don't think that he's like that necessarily, you know, like I think that he's like, yeah, I feel like it's because of the parent description so many times, and that Jesus said, look, if you being evil know how to give good gifts to your children, how much your Father in heaven. So Jesus, who is the exact image, like Jesus is the one that's supposed to show us what the Father is like. He's the one that's calling him our Father. And so he's the closest to God the Father, and he's using that language. Like, when my kids screw up and they like do stuff, like my biggest thing, I just want you to come and just tell me the truth. You know what I mean? Like when, you know, I said, I came out of my room today and there was like cereal everywhere. I was like, who did this? And I couldn't believe like how much cornflakes was and how quickly something like that happens. There's cornflakes everywhere. And I thought for sure like it must have been the youngest. Nope. It was our 6-year-old. He was like, it was me. And I said, okay, why did you do that? He was like, well, it dumped. And I said, okay, but why didn't you clean it up? And he said, because I really didn't feel like it. I wanted to do other things. And I was like, okay, well, thank you for being honest about that with me, you know? And I think that like, and for me, like, I was like, okay, this is good. Like, we're having an honest conversation. Now please clean up this mess, you know? But I think that like, I really think that God is more like that. Like
just the Fred video.
Yes. There's some accountability. He says, I'm going to pay for that. She says it's okay.
Well, the first thing she said is, are you okay?
Yeah.
This guy comes crashing, you know, through the fence.
Yeah.
You know, he's an older guy who probably needs his license revoked, to be honest with you. And and her affect was just very casual. He's like, and she's like, are you okay? And he goes, yeah, I'll pay for it. I'm gonna pay for it. He goes, oh, hey, you're right there. And she's like, yeah, but I'm not dressed. And he turns around and we've got it, and it became a very popular video in the short section. And I was like wondering, why is this video so popular? Because I hadn't watched it, and I kept watching it over and over again. I'm like, why do people love this video so much? And it's because it had the perfect balance of accountability. Like, he didn't say, like, fuck you. Yeah. You know, capitalism or whatever weirdo thing people say. Like, and she didn't make a federal case out of it. She thought that he was more important than her fence.
Yeah.
Like, because he drove right through her fence.
Yeah, and he stepped out of the car.
And she's like, are you okay? Like, that's, and it was crazy to me. And when I looked at the comment section, everybody was commenting on like the interaction and the neighborliness of this woman, and like how simple the conversation it was. And it was surprising to me because it challenges you, and you say like, okay, if that happened with you, would that be your first concern? Now, obviously, as people pointed out, if there were small children there,
oh my gosh,
now we're having a different discussion.
Right, yeah.
I get it. But there were no small children there. Right. The only human that was there was Fred. Yep. So she was concerned for Fred. Are you okay? Well,
the first thing she did say was, what the hell?
Yeah. right.
So she was human. Right. But then she was like, are you okay?
Well, I can imagine Jesus saying that too, like, because he was a human too. He was God, but he's also a human. And it's like, you're sitting there eating your Cheerios, getting ready for your day. Here comes this car barreling through your fence. Like, I understand that part. But my point is like, a lot of people were saying you could tell that Fred and this woman know each other pretty well. And just the way that they were interacting with you. And the fact that she was comfortable to say, hey, I'm not dressed. That's another thing to me. Like, they must have been very familiar with each other.
Yep.
And so it's like, that's what I mean. Like, that's what the Christian faith is. It's just being so familiar with God that you'd be able to drive through his fence and you would know that all he cares about is whether or not you're okay.
Right.
And you would take accountability. You would say, yeah, God, I wasn't good to that person. I'm going to fix that. He'd be like, are you good?
Yeah.
Because you're not usually like this. What's wrong with you? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all Christianity is.
See, you're like that with the kids a lot. You're like
Yeah.
that with them a lot. Yeah. That's, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not good at holding them accountable.
No, I don't.
But you are.
I'm much
You're
better.
You're
holding-
good at creating the instinct for accountability. Like, when the Bible talks about sin, that's what we're talking about. Like, bro, you drove through the fence, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's got to be, you know, like, don't walk around and be like, oh, don't judge me. Like, nobody has to judge you.
Yeah.
Like, the Bible says if we judge ourselves, we wouldn't be judged along with the world.
That's true, yeah.
If you hurt another human being that God loves, yeah, God loves you, but he also loves the person you hurt.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you drove through the guy's fence.
Yeah.
God wants to make sure you're good, but he also wants to make sure the person that you drove through the fence is good.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it was just a very casual. There was no fear in Fred.
Yeah.
He was just like, oh, damn it.
Even the way he walks, he swings his legs.
Yeah, he's like, oh, man. I did it again. God's like,
He's trying to put it in park or
he's
something.
like, I had it in park. It's like, you had it in reverse, Fred. You did not have it in park.
Yep.
But it was beautiful, and it was just such a picture to me of like that's what it is. That's what Jesus died for. Is like he understands our weakness. Like
Yeah.
he gets it. He understands our weakness.
Yeah.
But it was also a very childlike conversation. Fred, you know, he's in the last phase of his life, obviously, but it was
Yeah.
an extremely childlike conversation.
Yes.
Between the two of them.
Yeah.
So.
And like you said,
Kudos to the band.
when she said I'm not dressed, and he said, oh, and he like turned
Yeah, he turned
immediately.
immediately.
But I think that the fact that he did that was also even more reason why she felt comfortable to say, I'm not dressed.
Yeah.
Like, because she could have just disappeared, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and not spoken to him. But I think that he's not like one of those people that has let, but that's what I'm talking about. Like when we had that first song, in the first song, it's this guy that, you know, like he killed that woman, and he has this like, this sort of, you know, she won't kiss him. Like
She let that bitter.
yeah,
he let
that
bitterness transform
sin,
him
and that's
into a
the
demon.
thing. Like
Yeah.
when you say people are born sinful, then you say, okay, now how do I find my way out of this? And there is only one way to find your way out of it. But if you say, oh no, people are basically good, and then like, oh no, like there's these weird things, I'm this way and I'm that way, then you almost want to hide those things because you don't want
you don't
people
want to look bad in front of the other good people.
Right, exactly. But if we all had the collective mindset that, look, we're all bad and we need
We're
help,
all bad.
then yeah, we're all in a different place. So yeah, I like that. I like Christianity, and I like being a Christian. You won't.
9.8 for me. It's a good song.
Yeah. 9. Yeah, and I like the water inside the song as well. I that was a nice touch.
I will say, C.S. Lewis was the first one that got this concept. People say, well, practitioners of other religions are nicer. I agree. I think they are.
You said what? Practitioners are what?
Practitioners of other religions are nicer. And
Oh.
I agree. I think they are.
Uh-huh.
Christians...
I have my own theories.
In the United States, Christians do the most adoptions.
Uh-huh.
We're also literally the most generous people. It's just a fact.
Mm-hmm.
But on a personal level, there's some of the meanest.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what's going on with
Yeah.
this dichotomy? And then it's like, you're supposed to be following Jesus. My Buddhist friend is nicer than you. I agree. Because
The system
Christianity was designed to attract bad people.
Yeah.
That's the entire point of the religion.
Right.
Is to attract bad people.
Right.
And then transform them over time. It is
That's
not
called sanctification.
It
in
is
Christianity.
not for. It's not designed to attract good people who then need to be better.
Yeah.
Or very disciplined people who want to become more disciplined.
Uh-huh.
It's designed for the worst of the worst.
Yes.
And so, if you have a religion that is supposed to draw it, and when we say the worst of the worst, we're not just talking about serial killers and shit like that. Although
it does include them.
It does include them because some people are so heinous that Jesus is the only person that will have them. The rest of us will kill you, right? But like, it's drawn to design. It's designed to draw in the worst of non-religious and the worst of the religious. The fucking horrible priest who destroys the life of a child and ends up in prison. Jesus still wants that person.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I understand. I completely get it. And we all bemoan it. Oh, we're not being like Jesus. And the other thing too is like we've got like the ultimate like example to live up to, which we will never be until the contrast is a lot more stark.
Yeah.
You know, like so I've always C.S. Lewis says this is not an original idea. C.S. Lewis said this in Mere Christianity. I understand, like sometimes Christians are intolerable. They're not the nicest people. They're not the best neighbors.
Yep.
And there's a reason why the symbol of our religion is a cross, right? And it says you're this bad that the Son of God had to die in this horrible way. And there's a lot of good people that get turned off by that message. They don't want to. They don't want to believe that about themselves.
Yeah.
And there's other options where you can be told you're great, and if you just exercise this discipline, then you'll reach whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not commenting on that. I'm just saying the type of person that Christianity appeals to many times is a bad person who nobody else will have them because they're so bad. I remember, you know, this guy named Tex that, you know, in that inner city work that we did. And Tex, he smelled just like head to toe in urine.
Like old urine.
Like head to toe.
Like.
And we had, God bless him, we had some operators in that church that would hug Tex. Like give him a full on. And I remember one time he said that his family wouldn't talk to him. And you and I were having a conversation, and you're like, poor Tex, man, those horrible people in his family. And I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. You don't know what he's put them through to get them to the point where they don't want to see their own father, their own brother, their own son, their own... Right? And like, but he was in church. Every time the doors were open, he was there. And he would sit there, and sometimes the guy would go on for 45 minutes. I was looking at a thing one time, I was like, 48 minutes sermon! You got an 11-second short. On YouTube, if you don't get somebody in the first 30 seconds, it's all the way. This guy was sitting every single week. He was there. Because Jesus was the only one that would have him. So, like, I'm not arguing. I'm not doing none of that. I'm just saying, like, that would provide some explanatory power to why your Buddhist neighbor might be very peaceful and zen, and your Christian neighbor is horrible and loud and miserable. Right? It's designed for that guy. It's designed for people who nobody else will have.
Yeah, I think the other thing too about Christianity that, you know, it seems you have settled into the idea very well. I don't know if I'll struggle with it all of my life, but you know, when you talk about there are other religions that the way to get to the place of good is you have to do certain things. And if you're a doer, that works really well for you because it's like, okay, I did this, so therefore I am this. Christianity's not like that. Christianity says you were born in sin and there's somebody else who paid the price for you. And so it's a walk of faith, and it's a trust thing, and it's a difficult thing when you want to be a doer because you'd rather say, I did X, Y, and Z good things, and so now I'm good. But it's a faith-based religion, and it's a trust in God, and so it is, you can't trust in your good deeds or the things that you've done or the way that you fast or this or that, because that's not what it's about. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that for some people, myself included, it makes it more difficult because it's like, okay, well, when I'm feeling terrible, if I could just go do a good deed and then that would be like, oh, okay, like, well, I just gave some money to a homeless person. I am now you know what I mean? Like if it was so easy to change the trajectory of something instead of relying on, okay, like, no, it is literally, it's God alone that brings me to that place of being good. It's God alone, because he's the only one that's good, and he did what he, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I think that, you know, brings about a bit of angst that, you know, you can't.
For doers or people that,
right.
Yeah, you want to be able to say, here I am, this is going to generate this much positive juju. And real relationships don't work that way.
No.
You know?
Right.
Real dads don't have imagine at the end of the night, dad's talking to his 6-year-old. He goes, all right, here's your scorecard, son.
Right,
Here's how much good juju you generated here.
Yeah.
Relationships don't work that way. But if you're a doer, especially if you're a Western person, and you want to be able to have goals and hit them, I've seen people be like, yeah, man, that's not for me. Mm-hmm. That's not for me.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Being in an actual relationship and not falling through in a system where I can look at my goals and see how many mountains I've climbed or whatever, not for me. Sorry. And I get it. I was just saying, like,
go ahead.
I know a person who was just the worst person I knew for a very long time. And I would be like, this person can't be a Christian. And like, they're one of the most faithful, you know, simple Christians. You know what I'm saying?
No. Oh.
You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
For years, it was like, oh my God, this person is like the devil. Literally.
Oh, now I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Brought demons into the room.
Okay, then that is,
right?
yeah, okay, that's.
And now they're, you know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
for sure, yeah.
You wouldn't hurt a fly, and it's like, yeah, man, if you saw them now, but if you saw them 5 years ago, you know what I'm saying?
No, for real, yeah.
So yeah, and I agree. I think a person could, you know, I think. Controller said, as said bad person can easily misuse converting without meaning it as a front. Sure, they could. But that's the danger of any authentic relationship. Any authentic relationship where you invest your heart in somebody can leave you open and vulnerable to somebody trying to take advantage of you.
Oh, yeah.
And what I love about God is that he does not exempt himself. Mm-hmm. Like, the difference between him and us is that he's an all-knowing being. There's a very interesting passage about Judas and Jesus where it says, and the KJV version said, the man who was his fellow has raised up, the man who was my fellow has raised up his heel against me. And the original psalm says, my close trusted friend, my close friend in whom I trusted has raised up his heel against me. And that's talking about Judas. It's like, in John chapter 6, at the beginning of his ministry, Jesus says, haven't I chosen you 12? One of you is a devil.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is a contradiction. No, it's a contradiction for us because of our nature. Our nature is such that if we know somebody's a traitor and is definitively going to betray us, we would keep our heart away from that person. We would protect ourselves from that person. Mm-hmm. And we would say, well, Judas has to be here because he's got a role to play, but we would protect but Jesus didn't do that. Mm-hmm. The psalm makes it clear. Jesus opened his heart to Judas and loved Judas and was his friend and entrusted himself to Judas, knowing he would betray him. And so we have a God who participates in the vulnerability of actual love, even though he's omniscient.
Yeah.
And he refuses to exempt himself
Yeah.
from that. So I agree. Christianity allows for a lot of false converts or people to take advantage of the concept of the cross. I completely agree with that. And as a father, believe me. And you know what I'm I know of what I speak.
I know.
As a father, you do that.
Yeah.
You do that.
Yeah.
Because the love you have for your children is irrational.
Yeah.
And so it's irrational for Jesus to hang out with Judas that way. Protect yourself at least. Close yourself off emotionally. And he refused to. He said, I'm going to love this boy as hard as I possibly can. Because Jesus' logic was, well, he's here. He's here now. He and I are probably never going to, we're probably never going to see each other again, bruh. So the few moments I have with you, I'm going to max it out with you. So that's a team I'm on.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
The way you speak is so.
And I've never met anybody like that.
Yeah.
And I've never met a God like that either.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not debating. I'm just saying, like, these are real problems with Christianity that people talk about, and it's like what I'm saying is I get it. I see it. I get it. This is what I've experienced, though, of this God, of this person.
Right.
And then when I compare my life as a father or as a lover of a person, like, there's so many times I look at God and he'd be like, you get it now? You understand? Do you understand now? Right? So,
yeah.
Yeah, Chris, it's the worst of the worst, man. For sure. All right, guys. Fun time. Fun time for sure. I think, shout out to the big homie Evil Pear, by the way. Evil Pear, I don't know if Mike is still here.
Oh, is he here? Hey!
Evil Pear and Mike got us the most incredible thing of all time. And that was
in the same month. Reacher and True Detective.
In the same week. We had Reacher. Man, we got spoiled. I ain't gonna lie to you. We got spoiled. We did Reacher and we did True Detective. Mm-hmm. That's on Rumble if you want to see it. Mm-hmm. So Rumble is there, dear listener. Rumble is there. But yeah, shout out to Evil Pear. Shout out to DJ Director Mike, because that was just badass. That was so cool. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We've got a stream with the big homie Ben on Monday. Is it the Memorial Day stream?
Yes. Ben, what time is that? Why do I think it's at 8 o'clock? What's the earliest you can do that stream?
Do not... It's fucking negative vibes. Do not forget to clean out your filters. I literally had the Lint of Love.
It was gone and now it's back?
I had that song out of my head. And this guy with his self-fulfilling prophecy. You remember, he was like, oh, I guarantee you that Lint's gonna...
Yeah, he wanted to bring it back.
We enjoyed Reacher, and we also enjoyed True Detective.
Just, they were both...
They were so crazy. It was mysterious. It was heavy. It had levity.
Yeah.
9:30.
That's good.
9:30 p.m. Cheers, Archero. Yeah, okay. We need to get off this stream.
All right, you guys. We'll see you on Monday. Memorial Day's fun.
Big shout out to Director Mike. For sure. This day would not have been possible without him. Mm-hmm. So everybody give him a shout out. Bang, 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 bang. What happened?
9:30 p.m.
What a good.
Eastern Standard Time. I'm adding it, Ben.
It was supposed to. What a good. We need to do an update. What a failure. What a failure.
Well, we bid you adieu.
We bid you adieu. Have a wonderful, wonderful time. We will enjoy Humans as well. I think Humans is a I think it's another show or a movie. I'm not sure. If you're interested in AI,
it's about yeah.
Hopefully, I can be a responsible YouTuber and do more commercials for this stuff. We had an idea. Oh, we didn't discuss the idea. We'll discuss it outside when we take our walk or whatever. No, I don't believe that you come off as superficial and selfish because you believe in the goodness of humanity. I do not believe in the goodness of humanity. I believe that we're flawed, but flawed does not mean completely and totally worthless and horrible.
No.
I think human beings are infinitely valuable.
We believe in the goodness of God and that he gifts us with some of his goodness. And so that's what the goodness of humanity is. That's what we call the image and likeness of God.
Then I rated the song. I rated it as a 9.8. What's wrong with you?
I
did rate the song. Yeah, you rated it a 9.8 as well, I believe.
I thought so, yeah.
Oh, it's British. Everybody's saying we didn't rate the last song. Go back, guys. We did. I gave it a 9.8. What do you give it?
Matched it.
9.8!
I'm not sure if I did rate it. 9.8.
Well, if Ben and Middle, that probably didn't go up.
Ben and Middle?
Yeah, it's hard for me to believe that both of those individuals.
Yeah, misheard.
Misheard. CISO! I see you on the Patreon vid. Let's track it. What Patreon vid? Which one? Hit me up. Oh, the funk. The speed metal funk. The speed metal funk. Yeah, that thing is not like complete, so maybe we could collab on that. Oh, that's also Darl Hobb. Anyway,
wait, hold on a second. Let me just update this before you end it, because I don't know if... Just please.
Well, you know what?
What?
We can add, so like the other one was like 17, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you just add the 17 minutes from then, and that'll be the timestamp.
Oh, but did it make a one full video?
Yeah, when it flipped over.
It did? It makes it one. It kept it as one whole video?
It kept it as one video on YouTube.
I see what you're saying.
It only broke it up on Rumble.
Okay. All right. Well, I do see what you're saying. All right, let's go.
All right, guys, we're out of here. Vin out.
Sori out.